morning. Just to give everybody a heads up, periodically I'm going to have to walk away because we are having puppies right now. Four so far. It started at 4 a.m. this morning after 72, actually somewhere between 72 to 80 hours of labor. She's finally delivering puppies. So this is going to be a kind of a crazy podcast. And Unfortunately, I do not have the type of power to run an additional setup in order to cast them. So we're just gonna have to deal with it, folks. Yes, I shaved off the beard, cleaned it up a bit. You know, it's it'll be over 100 degrees today. We went from 45 degrees to 86 the day before yesterday. Dropped down to 45 again at nighttime. We were up to 97 yesterday, and today it's supposed to be somewhere around 104 to 105 degrees. So we'll just see how that goes. I kept the mustache, but you can't tell because my face is so white, not being out in the sun. I'm gonna have to get out there and get some of that in the next couple of days too. But we got like a week of crazy weather coming, and unfortunately I can't run an air conditioner without it sucking up twice as much gas, so won't be. Yeah. Okay, all right, let me kill this cam. Let's get the feed going right off the bat. Like I said, I don't know how long I'm going to be on today. Just got a lot going on here with the pups and all, and just why isn't there it goes. Gotta get rid of this. There we go. All right, it should speed things up. All right, so a bunch of stuff that I retruth between yesterday and this morning. Four so far. I don't have Venmo. I have Cash App. I can't. I'm banned from PayPal, Venmo. I'm banned from all banks. I'm blackballed from the banks. I should probably say. That's one of the reasons why I had to shut down my cannabis business, was because of the fact that they took away my ability to pay for bulk orders and everything. So it's so it's just me, the dogs now, and I'll be running a banner here, which will have. Actually, I may throw it up there now. I'll throw it up on the screen. Give me a second. Where in the hell is it? I don't even know where it is. I see everybody else's, but I don't see mine. Oh, that's cool. All right. Yeah, it's on the fair use disclaimer. It's at the end of the fair use disclaimer. You'll see it come up there. I think you'll see it come up there. I have no idea what it looks like, if that banner even shows on the podcast that much or anything. So, you're in Albany, Oregon right now. Right on. You're about an hour and 15 minutes away from me. Where you're at right now. You're south of Salem, and I am west of Salem. So yeah, it's right around there somewhere. Yeah. So all right. Well, the difference between it's a good comment, but I need to talk to Nigel Farage. Yeah. Well, the problem is he's got money to fight them people. I don't. So yeah. Banner or banter. I banter quite a bit, don't I? A bit. Yeah. That kind of annoys me that my info that I used to. Oh, here we go. Let's try this one. Nope, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Let's go there and take away that and then save. And then there you go. That's how you can do that. Okay. Yeah. So how is this gonna go today? I have no idea. You guys. Let me put it to you this way: I haven't slept since Tuesday. I've gotten an hour here, an hour there. But it seems that every time I lay down to try to go to sleep, she was jumping up on the bed with me and snuggling and just totally restless. And even if I kicked her off the bed, she would still be, licking my face and everything else. So I've had like no sleep. That's why I can't wait for this litter to be done. Because when that happens, I'm going to sleep for like a month. Yeah, I wish it could be that easy. Yeah, I really do. Okay, all right, let me pull that banner down and get my X up on the screen. Here we go, my X feed, and get the fair use banner rolling. Because we are going to be playing a lot of stuff from news organizations, and that's the reason that I run the fair use banner. So this is in regards to Judge Engoron.
Judge Engoron, who issued the $454 million judgment against Donald Trump, is under investigation for a conversation he had with a lawyer a few weeks before his decision was due. Now, judges aren't supposed to have ex parte communications about cases they're working on. However, this clip from the lawyer indicates otherwise.
I actually had the ability to speak to him 3 weeks ago. I wanted him to know what I think and why, because I really want him to get it right.
It's a good thing the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct is investigating this matter. I mean, we wouldn't want any hint of impropriety to taint the fair and impartial judgment of $454 million where there were no victims. In Judge Engoron's court, justice is blind to ethics, to rules, and to the law. The only time that justice isn't blind is when there's a camera nearby. Judge Engoron, who issued the $454 million judgment against Donald Trump, is under investigation.
We only need to hear it once. We know. All right. For those that need a daily reminder, little Steve Inman, because he puts out funny content.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Just a daily reminder. There are two sexes. Genders are made up things. Yeah. All right. Jake and Jelly Chansley says, I freaking told you they were real. Imagine having these weapons used on you for years. Then you finally see this and the admission that these weapons are real. AI Mind Control Vicky says, this is one of the most important moments in history for victims of neuro weapons. Let's take a listen.
Guys, if your assessments here are correct, these are very covert weapons, aren't they?
That's correct. There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things.
And you guys also said that these attacks are happening right here in this city. Is that correct?
I mean, there have been some that have gone public with respect to Washington, D.C.
I think it was Mr. Grozev said you spoke to a Russian agent who said that they believe that Americans are using these same weapons on them. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Might that have something to do with part of the CIA's motive to cover up the existence of this tech and these weapons?
That is a very logical possibility.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
The gentleman yields. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from New York, Mr. Goldman, for his round of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for being here. Mr. Grozev, I want to follow up a little bit on the interactions you've had with Russian intelligence about these AHIs. And Mr. Zaid, I want to ask, and this is a hypothetical, but I'm trying to understand why our government would try to block information sharing or conceal information that they have. And one thing that comes to mind is whether there's an operational risk to revealing any of the details of their investigation. Is that something that you have come across in any of your work?
There's a lot of reasons why the information might not be publicly released. And I do think that's something we could address more in a classified environment to explain that. But there are understandable reasons why the US government has not revealed much of what it knows.
There's some long-term things that needs to be done in terms of new acts. But in the short term, we need to do things like implement the original Havana Act. DOD still hasn't done it. They still have not implemented the Havana Act. And we need a VA diagnostic code. Thanks to the VFW brothers and sisters that are here today and for your meeting earlier, we don't have a VA diagnostic code for the 500 some DOD survivors. How are they going to get long-term care and disability without that?
Yeah. Well, I hope this issue you see in a room that is often contentious, explosive, volcanic, that you've got members on both sides who first honor and salute the victims and want to do everything we can to make sure that they're made whole, and if they can return. And then, of course, as the victims have wanted to do, make sure we do everything possible to prevent anyone else from suffering from this. I yield back. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, Goldman is, I have no trust for Goldman whatsoever. I have no trust for this jackass either. This particular one right here. A message to the traitors in the GOP who still do not admit flat out that the 2020 election was stolen.
I work with President Biden as the President of the United States. You know, this discussion about what happened in 2020 is yesterday's news.
The election was not stolen by fraud. And I haven't seen anything since the election that changes my mind on that, including the 2000 Mules movie.
Right. Right. Most people don't question the outcome.
Right. President Trump claims the election was stolen. Conspiracy theories. The voters, the courts, and the states have all spoken.
I don't think anybody is questioning the legitimacy of the presidential election.
There's no question in my mind about the outcome of the last election.
He won. He's the legitimate president of the United States. It is over.
Let me reiterate this. Donald J. Trump won the presidency, and he is the legitimate president of the United States, and your guy's illegitimate, and the American people are awakening to that.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Karen, I got it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. All right, moving on. Paul A's Sizipula. I have no idea how to say his name. America's Mayor Rudy Giuliani just called out Republicans in Congress for doing absolutely nothing to help him. Here we go.
And other people, they're going to have a free run to fix the election. And when did they bring it up a year ago? Because it's not close to the election. Let him shoot his mouth off. Nobody does anything anyway. Jordan will have another hearing. Send a letter. Part of the reason that I'm in this problem, and Steve and everybody else, is we've got no support. None. Members of Congress don't give me any support. None. Or any of the others that are being persecuted like this. What the hell have they done for the J6 people? A couple of them, yes, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I'll say a few of them have really, really tried. Most of them, gee, don't bother me with that. They all know they're being persecuted. Well,
I'm sorry. Yeah, because of that video, I just wanted to check the IQD to see if there was anything that came up from that. So, and the easiest thing to do is just in your search bar, type in Forex, Forex. When that comes up, then you just kind of scroll through. If you got the foreign currency of any country outside of the United States, and you want to see what the value changes are. This used to be around 70,000 Iraqi dinar to $1. It's all the way down to 1,310 now. When it's all said and done, it's supposed to be somewhere around $3 to $1 Iraqi dollar, or $1 Iraqi dinar, I should say. But we'll see what happens. We just keep an eye on it and see. I check it every couple of days to see where it's at, because when that happens, I'm getting a new tiny house. Yeah. All right. Wall Street Silver says this streamer named Vitali was tracking a child predator in California for 3 months and caught him. California police let him back on the streets because the sergeant said there's nothing that the DA can do.
In, but they're basically like desk sergeant has said don't bring him in. There's nothing that the DA is going to do now. Just write it up, file it up, and that's all we can do now. LA is not going to prosecute pedophiles. So we got to just keep bringing a light to it, because unfortunately no fault of theirs.
Hold on a
They've done
second.
everything they can for us, but it's the DAs in California that are refusing to prosecute pedophiles.
This is
Police are doing everything they can, but the DA is not supporting them. Men, but they're.
And see, this is one of the reasons why when I see guys like Mike Gill and all these other guys talking about what they have, these whistleblowers, what they have. When I look at all these situations, you may have something from 17 years ago, okay? And you've been trying to push it for 17 years and you're still pushing it today. But the fact of the matter is you seem to think that this is all about what you have. How about what we have? How about what we've been seeing? How about the child trafficking? I hear them say all the time, it's like, these podcasters, they talk about child trafficking. Well, we're not supposed to talk about child trafficking. We're not supposed to talk about child trafficking. How dare you? How fucking dare you? Like it's not an important topic. You think that because you know about a cartel that's been laundering money, that's the only thing that everybody needs to focus on. Well, you're wrong. You're 100% wrong there. There are so many things that people need to be paying attention to. Okay. And when I see these fucking guys out there selling their whistleblowing, about whatever particular topic is, you act like you're the only fucking topic that's out there, and you're wrong. For a lot of us, it is about the kids. I could give a shit less about what you went through in New Hampshire or anything else. You ain't the only one who's had a hard fucking life. You ain't the only one who's been thrown in fucking jail. You ain't the only one who's had your life threatened. Like you should get some fucking prize for that. Okay. Other people have gone through that and experienced that too. And other people have actually lost their fucking lives. So you may have some evidence about this or that. Okay. But the fact of the matter is there's a lot more topics going on here than just about you. Now, I go and I watch these podcasts, not because I like them. Okay. I go and listen to them so that I can catch the little intricacies. Okay. The little things that are said, the little smart ass remarks and everything that people say in regards to disrespecting other podcasters and everything else. Okay. And, and then claiming that you're not taking money, but when in all actuality, you are taking money. You are taking money. Okay. Even I take donations. Okay. My donations go to take care of the fucking dogs that I have that, some of them had been abandoned dogs. Others, we bred and raised here. And, and for fuel to keep the power on so I can keep doing podcasts, keep doing research, keep talking about all the different topics that are going on, because there's more than one fucking topic. It's not all about fucking Mike Gill. It's not all about Michelle Moore. It's not all about Matthew. I don't even know how to say his name. Okay. Although they are making good points and bringing information forward, it's not all about you. And to hear how, it's one of the comments that was made the other day on one of the shows was, oh yeah, and then they talk about child trafficking, Well, this is what I'm going to tell you. Okay, I was trafficked. I know the damage that it can do to children. And if you think that your fucking opinion about other podcasters utilizing child trafficking as a means in order to make money, let me tell you something. I told my story long before I took a fucking dime. Okay, you act like 17 years is a long time for you to be a whistleblower. Well, let me tell you something. My police reports go back to the 1970s in regards to child trafficking through the Catholic Church in Connecticut. I got fucking documentation too. When I told my, the majority of my story, I didn't tell the whole story, but I told the majority of the story. And while I'm telling my story, what's going on, the person, while I'm telling my story, okay, I got somebody on the screen pulling up my police reports. Okay, pulling up the news articles from the Hartford Courant, from the New Haven Register, from the New London Day, pulling them up on screen while I'm telling my story. They seem to think that their thing is the only thing, okay? And the fact that he says that Donald Trump took a deal is I believe that that's false news too, okay? I believe that that is fake. And I don't think that you should be fucking saying it. Where's your fucking proof of that? You may have proof about these cartels and everything else and the money laundering and everything else, but where's your proof that Donald Trump took a fucking deal? Where is it? Show me that fucking proof and I'll shut up. But until then, stop saying that because you don't have fucking proof of it. Man wouldn't be spending money, his own money, on a campaign trail. His own money on a campaign trail if he'd made a fucking deal. All right. Steve 2A says, well, this will show us who the corrupt ones are because non-citizens voting in our elections is just plain ludicrous and unconstitutional.
Calling on all the governors across the country to ban non-citizens from voting through state legislation and to support the SAVE Act. This is Republican governors and Democrat governors. Just in the last week, our South Carolina Freedom Caucus found out that paperwork for voter registration was given to non-citizens. That legislature quickly and swiftly passed a bill and the governor signed a ban on non-citizens from voting. Our Missouri Freedom Caucus is pushing legislation that could be signed any day that would ban non-citizens from voting on ballot initiatives. And this is breaking news. Our Montana Freedom Caucus this morning handed papers to the Secretary of State to call a special session to address this specific issue of banning non-citizens from voting, calling on all the governors.
And it should. They should be banning all non-citizens from voting, period. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. I mean, therefore I am says there are already 2,000 patriots waiting to see President Trump in Wildwood, New Jersey. Thousands of America-loving people are expected to join in.
Outside Wildwood, New Jersey. They say Trump's racist, man. What you got to say about that?
Oh, no. Biden is the racist one. Okay. You know what? If you ain't vote for me, you ain't black enough.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
Trump, we have people who are all racist. You see my hat? The world needs Trump more than ever.
Look at all these people that came out here to see Trump this morning.
Yeah.
All these people out here come see Trump already. We give them,
you know, to me,
there's already 2,000 people in here.
I've heard a lot of black people say President Trump is the first black president.
First black president.
Yeah, it's
Black
not
Donald
Obama.
Trump just said that. Black Donald Trump just said that.
Yeah.
Let's go Trump.
Let's
all
go
these Trumpers
Trump.
out here.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be one of the largest events that he's held. I have a couple of different clips in here. So let's Prager University awkward moment. There we go.
Any idea what you're looking at? That is a list of the passengers on the Mayflower.
No, I can't believe this. No, my ancestors did not come here on the Mayflower.
Your ancestors came on the Mayflower.
No.
You are descended from one of the 101 people who sailed on the Mayflower.
Oof. That's a little bit too much to deal.
So that woman's name is Angela Davis. She is one of the most anti-white and pro-reparations leaders in America. Not only did she just learn that her ancestors were colonizers, but she later found out that they were also slave owners. You can't pick and choose your bloodline, Angela, and 23andMe says it's time for you to pay up.
Any idea what you're looking
at? I love it when it all comes back. I love it. You know, when it all comes back to bite him in the ass. Okay. When it all comes back in a full circle and bites him in the ass. Okay. It's just crazy. It is. It's just absolutely crazy. And it's, you know, and these are people who go on TV and go on all these things and speaking at universities, running their mouths and you know, demeaning one race or another because of the fact that, you know, they're getting paid to do it. And then they learn that they're part of that race. Yeah. Makes a big difference. Yeah. Project Slam Dunk. Let's take a listen.
I don't want any money for what I'm doing because hopefully this video won't come out until after my death. So I have nothing to gain, nothing to profit by telling you what I'm going to tell you. In 1968, my father was stationed at Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico. We lived in Clovis, New Mexico. He was in the military police for over 20 years, and on his deathbed in 2002, we made a recording of what happened. Project Slam Dunk was the name of this. President Johnson in 1968, okay? In Cannon Air Force Base in 1968, he said by the time he got there, that there was already 2 large hangars that were connected. There was hundreds of dump trucks that came in and dumped sand and stone, and cement powder was powdered over the top of all that to make it look like a lunar landscape. They had men that fashioned it into a lunar landscape, he said. Okay, I've never known my dad to lie, so this all took me by surprise. You know, what's that all about? So anyway, he said that in front of the airplane hangars was pole framing with large canvas tents that was concealing the inside of the staging area. Inside the staging area, on flatbed trucks, was uncrated the lunar lander that was reassembled back inside the hangars. All of the walls were painted flat black, and the ceilings as well. He was sworn to secrecy by the NSA, and they would put him in prison for breaking that oath. When Dad saw the moon landing on TV, he cried. He said he knew that what he had witnessed on TV was exactly what they recorded in that hangar. There was no reason for them to go flying around and everything. They had detailed high-definition photos of the landing area. There was no reason for them to go flying around to a different landing area that almost exhausted their fuel, except for drama, because everything had gone so smoothly. Nothing, so it had to be something. Anyway, Dad was one of 3 guards that guarded the inside of the front entrance. There was a list of 15 people who could enter. No one else was allowed by order of President Johnson. And here is that list, and I gave it to Bart Seibel as well. He checked out a lot of these names, and he says he can verify a lot of these people and what they do. And I come across a couple myself. Anyway, President Johnson, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, Werner von Braun, Robert Emenegger, Gene Kranz, James Webb, Joe Kerwin, Dr. Thomas Paine, Glenn Looney, Dr. Christopher Kraft, Dr. James Van Allen, General Trudeau, Lieutenant Colonel Donald Simon, and Grant Norrie. Now, the only 2 that I really have information on is Robert Emenegger. Apparently, he did a lot of video work and stuff for the Department of Defense. So the DoD did know him. Okay. And the other one was Grant Norrie, Norray, I believe. Was to the best of my dad's knowledge, was a like some FBI, CIA, NSA, who knows, something like that. Okay, President Johnson only showed up for the first day of filming. Filming lasted for 3 days, and the entire project was restored to original. In other words, the hangars were all taken apart, the sand was all removed. Dad said there was a lot of building going on at the base, so at the time, so sand and cement powder was never questioned. I can see how they could smuggle that all in within everything else that's going on. Since 2002, I have dug up, I already told you about that, the evidence for the moon landing that I have found. If you go to Google and go to Cannon Air Force Base website, they admit that President Johnson was there. The lunar lander was there. The astronauts were there. I also have verified some of the people on the list were there. I also verified there are a lot of building going on in the base, just as he had told me. And all of this was going on at the same time, on the same date. Dad told me all these things, father to son. He also told me not to ever tell anyone what he had said, but he said on his deathbed that he had to tell somebody before he died because it was just too important not to tell. That's about all I can think of. My dad, he raised me by the book. I know he didn't lie to me.
Isn't that something? To grow up with that story in your head and not be able to tell anybody. crazy. Like his father felt that somebody should know before he died. Yeah. Congressman Byron Donalds, and we already showed that he's receiving money from AIPAC, rips Joe Biden after he termed illegal immigrants as voters and the Democrat Party for allowing this invasion and destruction of America to continue for future votes.
Biden made yet another gaffe yesterday while speaking about Hispanic migrants. Watch this, please. Roll it.
Let's see, the bigger influx now in terms of Hispanic voters, very Hispanic citizens who want to become citizens.
It looks like the open border is to get as many people in to create future Democrat voters. That's what that looks like, right?
No, it's exactly what it is. Listen, Stu, I'm telling you right now, that was not a gaffe. He was actually trying to tell you exactly what he was thinking and then was like, oh, shoot, don't say that, and was trying to backpedal. This is what the Democrat Party wants to do. These open borders are in part designed for the next census in 2030. It is designed also to get people into the election process in this election. You have areas that are already trying to have migrants be allowed to vote. Washington, D.C. is trying to do that right now. And so this stuff has to be stopped dead in its tracks. You simply cannot allow that. That actually destroys the franchise of the American people, which is voting. We should never allow it to be diluted by foreigners. That makes no sense at all. But if you're a crazy Democrat like Joe Biden or a lot of the members of their party, you think that's okay. It's simply not.
Yep, it's simply not. But I don't see anybody doing shit about it. All right. For those of us who didn't see it, maybe tonight, says Kim Renner.
The geomagnetic storm is not over, but when you tried to see it, you saw nothing. What's going on here? You didn't see this. Is the whole thing a hoax? I'll explain what's going on. So I actually took this photograph last night, and this is not anything near like what it looks like to the naked eye. This is what I got with the iPhone, and all those photos that you're seeing today on Saturday, this is the 11th now of May, are completely unrecognizable to those that actually saw the aurora borealis. And here's why. Our receptors in our eyes cannot make out color unless something is bright enough. And the phone is able to detect lower levels of light and change it into the true color that is actually being displayed than the naked eye is. So tonight, Saturday night, the 11th going into the 12th, if it's clear where you are in the United States and Canada, and of course, much around the world, you'll be able to see the aurora borealis. But here's what to look for. A glow in the sky that looks almost like it's coming from a distant city illuminating the sky. But watch this. You see this glow right here of green down at the bottom? That's kind of what you will be seeing when you look at this, because the green is what your eye receptors will pick up first. I know this from astronomy. I'm a meteorologist and an amateur astronomer. But as this glow in the sky sits there, and you'll be looking towards the north, of course, as that glow sits there, it will start to shift. It will become columns. It sometimes twists into a little bit of a curtain. Sometimes it streaks in such a way that it looks just very unusual. And you're saying, wait a minute, something's going on here. Keep watching, because eventually you'll see an unusual formation. And as it brightens up, colors will start to emerge. Colors that sometimes do approach the purple and red that other folks did report. And a whole bunch of people saw the green last night. Now, I'll be keeping you posted on the weather because, again, I'm a meteorologist in the United States and southern Canada to see if you'll be able to see it again tonight. So follow me and check out the other videos I have, including how to photograph the aurora borealis with an iPhone and all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next video.
All right, guys, I need to step away for a few minutes. Mama's having a little problem with getting one of these pups out, and I need to go and help her. So I'm going to throw on yesterday's X22 Part B to fill in some time until I can get back with you. So let me bring this over and I'll let you know how things come out.
Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave. This is episode 3351B, and today's date is May 11th, 2024, and the title of the episode is Solar Storm Communications. Trump ready to go to jail for the Constitution? Time is now. Let's talk about our health. It turns out the key to losing weight and keeping it off is not carbs or fat or even probiotic-rich foods. No, the end game of having healthy weight as well as more energy and long, healthy life comes down to a specific switch you can flip in your body to flush out unnecessary calories. Dr. Stephen Gundry is calling this caloric bypass. And by activating this specific process in your body, he has seen thousands, yes, thousands of people dramatically improve their health, even at age 50 and beyond. This includes losing weight, getting tons more energy, and returning to the good health they had in their youth once they simply addressed this one key to better health. Not only that, this is actually associated with improved digestion, strong feeling joints and muscles, smoother skin, and healthier lives, meaning it could be the key to a happy life. Dr. Stephen Gundry has lost 70 pounds himself using his research and has kept the weight off for over 20 years and counting. His digestive issues are gone, his health is fantastic, and he feels younger and healthier today than he did in his 40s. His video has been watched by over 20 million people to date, and you can watch and learn about it at thehealthyfat.com/X22. It's linked at the bottom of the video, but he'll teach you exactly how he has kept his weight off for free at thehealthyfat.com/X22. So just click on the link in the description below the video. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech fake news, the puppet masters, they are now panicking. Yes, there's panic all over the place because remember, they used to have complete and utter control of the people of this country, of the world. They had everything. They controlled the narrative. They controlled the news stations. They controlled social media. They controlled everything that people heard, everything that people saw. And they were able to counteract anyone that was trying to push the truth out there. Times have now changed, and they have lost that control. And that is why there is panic, because when you lose control over the flow of information, when you lose control over what people are seeing, you cannot control the population. Yes, you can use force. Yes, you can go out and arrest people. But when people see that, people reject it. Remember, controlling people with information, this is invisible to the people. They don't see what's happening. They don't understand what's happening, because if they decide to censor, block, or leave certain information out, what do people really see? Well, a lot of people don't see any of it. That's the whole point. And this is how they were able to control people with information without people standing up saying, hey, this isn't right. We shouldn't be doing this. But now it's very, very different because they've lost this control, and it's going to get harder and harder for them. They're going to try to control it by trying to push all these different laws like hate speech laws. And you can see it's already starting with what they're trying to do with anti-Semitism. And again, this is a hate speech law. And yes, it's hate speech against a certain group of people, just like there's other hate speeches, which is against other people. And really what they want to do is they want to get people on board to say, yes, since we need it for anti-Semitism, we need it for trans people, we need it for this, we need it for that. And anyone's talking about any of these groups, it's all hate. And this is what they're really trying to do. This is how they're going to try to control everyone. Plus, they're already putting into place, and we know that the Biden administration is already working with social media companies to actually censor people once again. And we can see other countries that are following along in all of this. But again, I do believe this is all going to fail in the end, because now it's too late for them to try to control the situation because the people are already awake. So what's very interesting is that we're having a solar storm right now. And yes, it's a very powerful solar storm. People are seeing the lights in the northern part of this country, and some people are seeing it in the southern part of this country. But I don't believe that this storm is going to knock out all communications and everything's going to go dark. But what I do believe is that these type of things that are occurring right now, it allows the deep state to do things when nobody is looking. And what's very interesting is that Dan Scavino, he put out a message on social media talking about how the phone is going from a system where you had to ask the operator to dial number to a system where you actually had a rotary dial and you were able to dial people yourself. So this is communications right here. And I do believe he's pointing to communications and what is happening right now with the solar storms. Because remember, if you go back in time with the Carrington effect, we had a solar storm back in the 1800s, and that took out the telegraph. So do I believe that they might be doing something at this point where they can do it where nobody is looking? I do believe so. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is we can see that Trump, he's been fighting for the people this entire time, and he's actually showing the people how to fight and how to stand up for the Constitution. And he's actually showing the way. He's the guy that is out front leading the charge, and he's letting everyone know, listen, I will go to jail for the Constitution. Isn't this what our founding fathers did? That's exactly what they did. They said, listen, give me liberty, give me death. I will fight for the Constitution. I will fight for the freedom, the right to speak, the right to be secure in my personal belongings, the right to own a weapon, the right to live free. And this is exactly what Trump is doing right now. He's showing the people. And I do believe, to take it to the next step, to actually really show the people, because you just can't say it, I do believe that it has to be done. And I think that Trump is letting everyone know that it's okay if he goes to prison. Remember, we mentioned this many, many months ago where we said that he might go to prison, that there's a very good chance, because again, if you're going to show the people how you're going to fight for freedom, and you're going to show the people, look, I'm standing up for the Constitution, and you have a judge trying to silence him every step of the way, where he can't defend himself, where he wants to speak freely, but the judge won't let him speak freely. And actually, if you go back in time, this is what the courts used to do. He will have to go to prison to show the people, look, if they throw me in prison, I'm still not going to shut up. I have a constitutional right to defend myself. I have a constitutional right to speak freely. So I do believe that most likely, if he's saying it right now, most likely he might be thrown in prison. But we'll have to see how this all plays out. Because if you're going to show the people how to fight, you're going to have to show the people, look, you will take all the slings and arrows and you will actually take it to the next step if it gets that far. So he's already letting the people know, and I know a lot of people are nervous about this. He's saying, it's okay. I will go to prison. I have no problem with it, because you know why? I'm standing up for this country. I'm standing up for you. I'm standing up for the Constitution, and no one is going to violate my right to speak, to defend myself, or anything else. And I think the people, when they see this and they see what they have done, I do believe he's going to win over the majority of the people, and it's just going to get better and better for him. Yes, for those people that think it's getting darker and darker and scarier and scarier, but this is being done to wake the people up. It's being done so the people understand that this is what needs to be done to take this country back. And those people that aren't awake, they have to be slapped multiple times. And you have to remember, to wake people up, everyone hits the precipice at all different times. A lot of people are awake now. He needed the people to wake up at different stages. Why? Because when you wake up the people, like in the very beginning when Q came out, well, that was a small handful of people that were awake. They wanted to get information, and then they started to spread that around. That means more and more people started to wake up. When you have open borders, that means those people that were very concerned about the borders and they see how this is not benefiting the country, those people woke up. When the economy started to break down and those people who were having a difficult time finding jobs or making ends meet because of inflation, those people woke up. As you continually have more and more people wake up, you fight against the system. You fight against the fake news. You fight against the propaganda that they're putting out. Now we're at the end stages, and I do believe everything that we've seen, it woke up enough people, the majority of the people, to combat the deep state players. Now what Trump is doing is he's going into New Jersey, into New York. He's getting the D's on his side. And there's only two things that I can think of in this country or in the world that everyone has in common. And there are two things that will really wake the people up. One is the economy, because when the economy crashes, pretty much almost everybody feels it. The other one, the other big one, is war. When war is knocking at your door, war is scary. War, well, basically includes everybody. Nobody can say, well, I'm at a different income level, so I don't really care about the war. Yes, I'm not talking about the elites. I'm not talking about their bunkers. I'm talking about the majority of the world. Even if you have a wealthy individual that's not part of the deep state, they're still going to be affected by war. So I do believe to bring this to the end, Trump needs to wake up the rest of the people. And there's only two things that I can think of that is really going to wake everyone up at the same time. Those people that aren't awake, those people that are awake, they're seeing it. Wish it was done. It was all over and we were able to take back this country. But again, we're fighting a second revolutionary war. This time it's not with bullets, it's not with blood, it's with information. And I do believe to fight this war, you need the people. And that's the only way you can fight this war. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit more about this and what Trump said. You can hear him say it yourselves. But what's very interesting is Biden, who is supposed to be the uniter of people, the resident who's going to be the most transparent resident, the one who's going to fix the economy, the one that's going to have peace around the world. If you notice, everything is completely opposite of what he says. And I do believe Trump, he's using this against him because, again, Trump, he knew the playbook of the deep state players. He knew he'd be able to use all these issues against them. And it is definitely working out in his favor. Because if you look at the Biden administration, his administration is absolutely a mess. And now we have another individual who is caught in the crosshairs because every single one of these individuals that he appoints is a complete and utter nightmare. And those people that are in his administration, remember, they're all criminals. They're installed in these positions. They're not the brightest because those people are the easiest to control. The Oversight Committee put this out and said, in January 2021, Biden promised he would fire anyone on the spot who treated another colleague with disrespect. A new report details the FDIC chair's abusive behavior and reveals the agency is rife with sexual harassment and discrimination. Yet Biden refuses to act. He's doing absolutely nothing. And I don't think that really comes as a surprise to anyone because, again, the entire system is a criminal system. They want the criminals in there. They don't want the smart, the brightest, the logical thinking people. They want those people that have no problem in committing a crime, no problem being a pedophile, no problem sexually harassing people. They have no problem with any of these people because, again, they're all part of the criminal syndicate and they know what these people are capable of and they know they use this against them. So why would they want to get rid of them? They wouldn't. And it's becoming clear and clear. The only reason they would get rid of someone if there's so much pressure, that's the only time they would get rid of someone. Just like when everyone started to point out the border and saying how it's not secure, even though they've been telling us it's secure. Did they really close the border? No, all they did was they used political speak. Oh, we're going to go down there. We're going to secure. We need money. We need a lot of money. Well, you don't need money because you're the ones who caused it. Actually, if you notice, the Biden administration has caused all these problems. Let's see. They caused the economic problem. They caused inflation. They caused high fuel costs. They caused the problem with the open border. They caused the problem with crime running rampant in all different cities. They cause all these problems, and the problems that they cause, they put it back on the people saying, listen, you have to pay for all of this. You have to give us more money so we can solve the problems that they actually created. And I think people now are starting to understand and starting to realize this. When you look at what they have done in the past, people, I think, are going to start to really understand and realize that they're the cause of all these problems. The problems with COVID, the problem with the bioweapon, the problem with everything that they have done. They're the ones who caused it. Then they always want the people to pay for what they have done. So they destroy, they cause problems, and they want people to then pay for that. I mean, really think about this for a second. And when you look at the border, it's a disaster. And these people coming over the border who are coming over illegally, they want the people to pay more money to house, feed, clothe all of these individuals. So let's say the deep state is bringing these people in and they want people to pay for everything. End Wokeness put this out and said illegals Endeavor have released a list of demands for the city. Cook owned food with ingredients provided by city, shower access available without time limits, medical visits will happen regularly, receive same housing support offered to others, shelter residents will receive employment support, consultations with a free immigration lawyer. Wow, they truly want a lot, don't they? And these are the people that are coming in illegally. They broke the law. Why would the people of this country, especially with the economy breaking down, why would people want more of their money spent on these individuals where the deep state is actually bringing them in? They wouldn't. And this is really waking the people up, and the people are starting to really see it. And the people are seeing censorship. Every single day, you could look out at all the different countries. They're using hate speech. They're trying to implement certain laws where if you say something, you're completely banned, or you might have to have a license to actually put up a statement or a meme or anything like that. It sounds ridiculous, but it's actually happening. Update from Australia's Prime Minister. You're going to need a social license to post memes. Parliament needs to understand how social media companies dial up and down the content that supports healthy democracies, as well as antisocial content that undermines public safety. So the Prime Minister wants you to have a social license. This is how the deep state does it. Ooh, let's start New Zealand, Australia, UK, and the rest. Let's push hate speech laws. Now let's try a social license. Because what are they trying to do? They're trying to shut you up. Elon Musk responded to this and said, I doubt that people of Australia agree with suppressing their rights. And he's absolutely right. You think the people agree with this? Absolutely not. You think they like Elon Musk and his platform X? No. The reason they don't like it is because they can't control it. He's allowing people to speak freely. Not every single person, because he hasn't brought back all the people that were basically brought or shut down on X. But those people that are on there, most of them can speak freely, a lot freer than they did before. I think Truth Social, you can speak a lot freer because no one censors you there, and you have the ability to speak your mind. But again, they don't want X because it has a lot of people on the platform, and a lot of people can say a lot of different things that counters the narrative of the deep state players. So you know what they did? It looks like the deep state players, they decided to let's attack Tesla. Let's attack Elon. I mean, this is what they've been doing from the very beginning. If you look at Truth Social, when that went public, what happened? They attacked the stock with naked shorts. Devin Nunes, the CEO, had to write into the U.S. House of Representatives saying, can you just take a look at this and start your investigation to see who's doing this? I have a good idea who's doing it, but we need an investigation. As soon as that letter was sent, you know something? All of a sudden, the naked shorts stopped and the stock went up. Amazing, isn't it? But look what they're doing to Elon Musk. It looks like the left radical anti-Tesla mob attempts to storm the premises of the electrical vehicle factory in Germany. And a lot of these people, they look like they're Antifa. They got their umbrellas. They're dressed up in black. They got black hoods. It looks like Antifa is trying to put a lot of pressure, because they're taking instruction from the top, on Elon Musk. Do you think this is going to work? Absolutely not. I mean, look in this country. Biden is doing the same thing as other countries. He is doing it via, backroom deals where he talks to the social media platform, saying these are the people that we want you to take down. He doesn't want the people to know that he's doing this. And he has the FBI, the Secret Service, looking into people that put out memes, looking at the people that make fun of him, getting a Maine veteran after allegedly joking about Biden wearing Depends. Why would the Secret Service, why would the FBI, why would any of these people be going to people's homes to say, hey, did you post that meme? Hey, did you make that joke? Yes, we're allowed to speak freely. We're allowed to say whatever we want, especially when we have people that are elected into, oh, wait a minute, they're not elected. That's right, they're installed. That's why they have the Gestapo going to everyone's home. That's why they're trying to censor people, because you have to remember, these people don't represent the people. They don't support the Constitution. They are installed. They are the problem. An installed dictatorship, they don't like when people talk about them and people tell the truth and people tell other people, look what they're doing. They don't want that. If you look at any dictator, they always stop people from doing this. But the other thing that's very interesting is it looks like Viktor Orban, he met with President Xi, and you have to remember, Trump just met with Viktor Orban, and Trump also met with many other leaders. And remember, he's supposed to be a former president, but the leaders are coming to New York to meet with him. Very interesting. But this is what Viktor Orban put out. He said, it was an honor to welcome President Xi Jinping during his state visit to Hungary. The cooperation between Hungary and China has reached new heights in the past 15 years. The world is a cloudy place, so thank God we now cherish an all-weather, comprehensive strategic partnership in the new era. And I do believe, for some reason, I do believe that Putin, Xi Jinping, Trump, Viktor Orban, and many others, they're all working together to remove the deep state players from this country and other countries. Because remember, the deep state players, they're not just in the United States. The deep state players are all over the place. And I do believe this is a massive operation, and it's a cleanup operation. And I do believe there are certain leaders that are working with each other to get rid of the deep state players. And with all these wars that we're seeing, yes, this is part of the 16-year plan, but I also believe that since Putin is in Ukraine, I do believe Xi is going to be going to Taiwan. I do believe Israel now is cleaning out the terrorists in Gaza. I do believe these are all coordinated operations to remove the terrorists, to remove the deep state, to weaken them like we've never seen before. And I do believe it is working, and the deep state now is struggling. And the deep state, they realize that, hey, the elections are coming up. Trump has the people. We don't have the ability to cheat, and we're going to have to create the ability to cheat, and we're going to try to use another pandemic. Now, I do believe they're waiting for the WHO to get the votes. Don't know if they will. Hopefully not. But if they do get the votes, that's when you're going to see them really push the pandemic. I mean, they've been building the narrative over time with the bird flu, and they keep making it sound like it's going to be really, really bad, that it can mutate and transfer to different places and it can reach the human. But remember, it's a virus. What cures the viruses? Trump mentioned it: hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin. This is why they never wanted you to know that these drugs actually cured viruses, because how would they unleash a pandemic if everyone knows that ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine cures the flu, the common cold, the COVID, the bird flu, and the rest? Would they ever be able to release a pandemic on the people again? No, they wouldn't. And we wouldn't need any of these, bioweapons that they keep pushing on the people. I do believe these drugs also help with cancer. And I do believe people are going to find this out sooner or later, because let me ask you a question. You know what a debt trap is? Well, most people are caught in a debt trap, and it's not your fault. You didn't cause inflation. You didn't set a gas price or make credit card companies. Remember, Trump didn't just mention this by accident. He put it out into the public realm on purpose so people would know. But you can see the deep state players, they still want you to take the bioweapon, even though AstraZeneca is being removed because of all the side effects. And remember, if it's AstraZeneca with the mRNA, what do you think? The other pharmaceutical companies, you don't think they have the same exact problems? Of course they do. And you can see all the people now are backtracking on all of this. But Professor Peter Hotez, he put this out, and he says, this is a dangerous anti-science disinformation, pure and simple. Ivermectin does nothing to help people with COVID. Same with hydroxychloroquine. COVID vaccine saved 3 million American lives. No, they didn't. Actually, it's the opposite. Natural immunity is saving the people. Actually, the bioweapon is hurting people. It's giving them rare diseases. It's giving them heart problems. Cancer now is flaring up. And would anyone believe this person, especially with AstraZeneca taking their drug off the market? Absolutely not. With peer-reviewed documentation that's coming out showing everyone, yeah, they lied to every single person. Patriots Are Control put this out on X and said the vaccine scientist who's been all over CNN telling people to get infinite boosters is now doubling down against ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. Side note, he is also the director of the Texas Children's Hospital Center for Vaccine Development. Yikes. Would you let this guy inject your child? Absolutely not. But again, these people putting out this information, Can we see your peer review document? Can we see the evidence that it actually does what you say it's doing? Because we have plenty of information and evidence, peer review, by the way, that shows the actual opposite of what this person's saying. But you could see the deep state players, they are now pushing the bird flu. Now, is this going to be disease X? Is this what they're going to use? Maybe, maybe not. But it looks like they're preparing to say, look, all the cows, the cattle, the pigs, the chickens, it looks like we're going to have to maybe get rid of the food supply. I think they might be going in a little bit different direction by saying that it's the bird flu, that it could mutate. And if you eat any of these type of foods, we can't have this. So we're going to have to destroy the food supply so we can usher in bugs. And it looks like this is what they're trying to do with all of this. And we'll have to see how this plays out. But again, as we know, we have these antiviral medications that are cheap. Nobody owns. The pharmaceutical companies really can't make any money on it. And that's why they tried to block it from the very, very beginning. This is why they tried to use the bioweapon from the very, very beginning. But let's see how this plays out. There's just a couple more days before the vote is being done for the WHO, and we'll see how this plays out. Now, once again, if the WHO doesn't get the vote, this is going to be very, very hard to push because everyone's not going to be on board. And once again, they're not going to have total control of what's going on with the medical information. If the WHO does get the vote, they will have control over governments, and this will make it a lot easier for them to try to cheat in the next election, because is this really about the virus or is it about the election? And I do believe we all know this is all about the election. This is about the 2024 election. Trump let everyone know, and I do believe this is part of his plan. And the first part of the plan, back when he was in the White House, he set everything up. He reversed everything the deep state players were trying to do. He put everything into place for continuity of government, and he needed to wake the people up. He got control of the government via the military. He got control of the country. He made sure the country was safe. And since he got that control, it was a lot easier than to wake the people up by putting the resident in and allowing the deep state players to do exactly what they do. And that is destroy this country, remove your freedom, violate your rights. And he needed to show the people this, and he needed to be the leader. He needed to be out front, showing everyone, look, I will not give up. I will fight to the very, very end. You see me doing it. This is what every single person has to do. And he made an announcement while he was at the trial over the week, and he said that he will go to jail. He's willing to go to jail for the Constitution by defying the gag order. And once again, he's showing the people, this is how you fight for your rights. The judge is telling me one thing, but I have a constitutional right to speak. I have a constitutional right to defend myself. If everyone else can talk about me and I can't say anything to defend myself, you're violating my constitutional rights, and I will stand up for the Constitution. I will stand up to these tyrannical dictator people, and I will fight back. Just take a listen to what he said here.
Me in jail, then that could happen one day, and I'd be very proud to go to jail for our Constitution, because what he's doing is so unconstitutional.
He's absolutely right. He should fight back. He should push back, because he needs to show the people this is how you fight for your country. Now, as we get closer and closer to the presidential election, we know that the debate has already been scheduled for September, and Trump, he has been egging Joe Biden to debate him. And again, this is going to be an issues debate. How well do you think Biden's going to do in this? Because Trump is just going to continually call him out. Open borders, the economy's failing, and he's going to use facts. He's going to use documented facts. And Biden is going to have a very difficult time trying to defend himself, because the issues are not on Biden's side. The issues are on Trump's side, where he has the truth and he has the facts and he can bring up the issues and he can destroy Biden. I think the deep state players, they know this. Now, once again, I do believe this is a show that we are watching right now. And once again, how do you wake the people up? How do you get the people to see the truth? Well, you have a debate against the person who's been destroying this country. How do you wake the D's up? Well, you think the people are going to be watching this debate? Yeah, I do believe the D's are going to be watching this. And what are they going to hear? they're going to hear the real issues. They're going to hear it all play out. And the people are going to go, holy crap. Now, if they go through with it, the people are going to really wake up like we've never seen before. And the people are going to say, this is not the guy that should be president, and that is Biden. And people are going to look at Trump going, holy crap, he's right. Open borders, the economy is falling apart. And if they have this debate in September, war is approaching. I think there's going to be a lot of people waking up here. So Biden is urging the debate with Trump. He said, set it up. Trump, he responded on Truth and said, letter to Joe. Dear Joe, now that you've committed to debate me on the now dying Howard Stern show, no less, let's set it up right now. I'm ready to go anywhere that you are. We could do it in D.C., even pinpoint the White House, or in New York when your radical left fascists are finished with the election interference against your political opponent, me. So let's see how this all plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting. And I do believe if the Biden administration, which they should do it, because again, if you're running for president, you should have a debate. I think the people want a debate. And this is going to wake a lot of people up. And you can see as we get closer and closer to the presidential election, it looks like they're already starting the censorship because former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, well, he had his conservative talk radio show canceled after repeatedly questioning the results of the 2020 election. Well, you can't say that the 2020 elections, they were not on the up and up. They were rigged. I don't believe that they were honest. So now we have the radio stations canceling conservatives. This is absolutely unbelievable. And remember, this is coming from John Catsimatidis, a billionaire who owns the radio station. It's supposed to be conservative. And all of a sudden, he doesn't want Rudy Giuliani talking about the Dominion voting systems, about the 2020 elections and how they're not on the up and up. Because remember, we have the proof now that shows that the election should have never been certified. The Georgia elections, they're ripe with violations. They cheated in the election with the ballots. It's absolutely unbelievable. We'll be talking about that in just a sec. But first, we could see that the deep state players, what they're doing is they're bringing all the illegals in because they're getting prepped and prepared for what's coming, which is the 2024 election. And they want to cheat in this election any way they possibly can. And I do believe they're going to try to use all different tactics to try to cheat. But I think in the end, they're just not going to have enough people to actually override the system to cheat. So if you have someone where their poll numbers are continually dropping and you're bringing in all the illegals and you're trying to make up the difference, I don't think they have the ability to bring in enough people, especially when we head down the path where the economy's crashing, the war's coming. And if Trump and Biden debate, I don't think they'll be able to make up the difference. And I do believe this is why they're going to try to use a change of batter to try to make up that difference. Because yes, they can cheat, but they need someone at least popular just to have a couple of votes here so it doesn't look so obvious. Because if the poll numbers are so bad, people are going to notice like, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. How could this possibly be? Because especially when the people coming out of the exit polls and they say, oh, I voted all for Trump. I voted for all for Trump. It's going to look very, very suspicious. See, before they were able to do it because they had Biden and he was halfway decent at the time. This time around, they won't be able to do it. Even though Trump won by a lot, he still had people voting for him. This time around, I think it's going to be very, very difficult. And this is why one of the reasons why they're bringing in so many illegals. But Tom Fitton put this out and he's referring to another post on X, and it says Immigration Accountability Project. It says the left, undocumented immigrants, also known as illegals, don't vote. Also the left, we have a waive inadmissibility for illegal voting in all our amnesty bills because undocumented immigrants vote. Tom Fitton responded to this and said, the left know full well the illegal aliens vote, and they do. And I do believe this is why Trump and the Patriots, they had Johnson push this bill, and I do believe this is coming from Trump, saying everyone has to be a citizen. Everyone has to have an ID. You're going to see all the D's and the rhinos say, absolutely not. We don't want this whatsoever. And you have to remember, the excuse that, oh, wait, the black population, they don't know how to get a voter ID. Well, out in Africa, most of the countries in Africa, They require a voter ID. How can they do it over there? Are they calling black people stupid? Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing, because they are racist. That's what they're doing. Wall Street Silver put this out and said, taxpayer-funded ID program for illegal immigrants expected to begin this summer. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is eyeing a summer rollout for a controversial ID card pilot program for illegal immigrants being released into the U.S., and the agency hopes it will modernize the documentation process for removal proceedings. The iSecure Docket Card program was first reported on in 2022. ICE is planning a limited rollout of the program. ICE confirmed that the pilot program is expected to commence this summer with the distribution of approximately 10,000 cards, while the agency stressed that plans are pre-decisional and still subject to change. It is expected the cards will be issued in 3 or 4 locations in the U.S. I do believe this operation is going to be a lot bigger. I do believe, yes, it might be used to deport people, but is this going to give them the ability to make them believe that they are a citizen and they can vote in the election by setting in a mail-in ballot? Remember that law that says if you believe that you're a citizen, then you didn't really break the law. So I do believe this time around, we cannot use the mail-in ballots. We can't use the drop boxes. And I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they have plans where we're not going to be using them. And I don't think this is going to be a traditional election, just like 2020 was not a traditional election. Because remember, we had COVID back then. That wasn't a normal election like we had in the past. This time around, I do believe what Trump is going to do is he's going to make an election that we haven't seen before. I mean, we've had one like this before, but we haven't seen it in a long time. So think about it. Back in 2020, the deep state players, they changed the election to cheat. This time around, Trump is going to allow the deep state players to destroy their own system, and he's going to use this against them to win the election, because I do believe we're going to be ushering in paper ballots. And now, since the people are seeing the truth about how the elections were rigged, I think more and more people are going to demand paper ballots, especially when the country is attacked, especially when the systems are attacked. People are not going to trust the systems to run the election. And I do believe this is going to give the Patriots the step up that they need to usher in paper ballots. But when we go look at Georgia, we can see that the election should have never been certified. Liz Harrington put this out on X and said, does the investigation confirm there are missing ballot images? Yes. Case closed. No cover-up operation can conceal the fact that Fulton County did not have the votes it claimed it had. The recount could not replicate the original results. Oh, and it's news to Fulton County that they are missing over 300,000 ballot images from Election Day. So once again, they tried to cover it up. They did the best they can, but the truth is out there. And Trump was right again. And these people that fought very hard to prove this, well, again, they're showing the American people, look how they rigged the election, and then look how they try to cover it up. And this happened in Arizona. It happened in Pennsylvania. It happened everywhere, because the system that we're using is a deep state system that installs people. It's a cheating system. But let's go back a little bit in time, because remember Raffensperger, who wanted to debate Trump on the 2020 election? You think he wants to have a debate now? Patriots Are Control on X put this out and said, remember last year when Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, challenged Trump to debate on the 2020 election results? I wonder if this offer still stands. Trump's first debate question, Brad, why are there over 300,000 ballot images missing in Fulton County? That is very interesting. And again, you could see the deep state players, they're planning for the 2024 election. They're going to cheat in it. They're going to do the best they possibly can. And they're prepared if they lose. They're also prepared if they win. Jeff Carlson gives us the loose translation of what they really mean. This is what he says. We stole the 2020 election, and we're trying to steal the 2024 election. If we lose, we'll claim you cheated and unleash raging mobs on all the major cities. If we win, we'll jail anyone who complains. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Now, think about it. They're going to lose this time around. And when they lose, they will release the illegals. They will release Antifa. But I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they are prepared for this. They know what is coming. Plus, I do believe the deep state players, they're going to shut down communications. In the end, they will try to shut down pretty much everything. So this way they can control the narrative of what's happening in this country. And I do believe the riots that you're going to see, especially when they try to delay the election, and they tried not to certify the election afterwards, I do believe the mobs that we're going to see, they're going to try to pass them off that they are the MAGA supporters, the Trump supporters, because the deep state will not certify the elections, and the Trump supporters are angry about this. And I do believe that's what they're going to try to use in the very beginning. But I do believe what's going to happen is going to morph, because there won't be any Trump supporters, MAGA supporters out there, except they're people that are dressed up like this. And then the elections will eventually be certified. Because remember, they can't send the election results back to the legislatures. The deep state players, the Ds, they already created a law that doesn't allow them to do it. And remember, the vice president did have that ability. Trump tricked them into passing a law that took that ability away. So the elections must be certified. I mean, they'll try not to. They'll try to use, he's using fake electors, or they'll try to shove in as many illegals as they possibly can for the electoral count, but I don't think that's going to be possible. So I think their entire mission is to say that he used fake electors, and I don't think this is going to fly. And I do believe this is when they're going to unleash these individuals onto the streets. But I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they are prepared for this. And Trump already mentioned, listen, we can use the military to deport all these people. We can use the military with the National Guard in this country. And the Posse Comitatus Act really doesn't apply. Actually, I don't think it applies going back all the way to 2020, because back then there was an insurrection and the military can be on U.S. soil, because that's one of the exceptions. The other exception is an invasion in this country. So how do we come full circle? If you notice, Trump is starting to tell everyone he has the ability to use the military, because we have to come full circle, because people wouldn't be able to comprehend why Trump could use the military unless something is happening in this country. So back then, the military took control. People couldn't understand why the military could be on U.S. soil, because everyone thinks that, the elections were on the up and up when the elections happened. Yes, the people see the elections were rigged, but they don't understand that there was an actual insurrection against the president of the United States, which was Trump, which actually gave the exception where the military then can be on U.S. soil. So to show people the military can be on U.S. soil, we need something to happen to come full circle to show people, look, we have an invasion. The military can operate on U.S. soil. And this is how you bring the military back into the picture. But along the way, we could see the deep state players, they're going to try to shut down communications because they don't want information out there. And right now, we're having a very bad geomagnetic storm. A lot of people can see the northern lights and, all the different colors and things like that that's happening right now. And this is a G5. It's an extreme geomagnetic storm. And I do believe this is going to give the deep state players a chance to do something to the systems. And what's very interesting, and Lisa May put this out, she said, odd post by Dan Scavino on Facebook last night. And it shows a video from 1936 when the phones, remember, they didn't have any rotary dials or anything like that. You just picked it up and you said, operator, connect me to whatever the number was, and they would connect you. Well, in 1936 at midnight, they were switching over the phone systems and they were going to dial direct, and everyone was going to get a directory, which I find very, very interesting that he's talking about communications and how communications is changing. So does that mean that when everything goes down, communications, the way we receive our communications, though, that is going to change at that moment? And what do I mean by change? Well, think about it. If we have some type of cyber attack and a communication blackout, is the way we receive information, is that going to change? I do believe it will. Now, again, are they going to use the storm to insert something while nobody's looking, saying, look, a satellite went down. Oh, look, this went down. Oh, that went down. Most likely, yes. Looks like Starlink right now, because Elon is reporting about Starlink, that the major geomagnetic solar storm, which is happening right now, it looks like the satellites are under pressure, but everything is holding up so far. So I do believe the deep state players, they're going to try to use this one way or another. Do I think everything's going to be shut down over this weekend? No, absolutely not. You might see, hiccups here or there, but I do believe we'll be able to weather this. With Dan Scavino's message, I do believe when we do have a communications blackout, I do believe that the way we communicate is going to change, because if we can't communicate using the internet or we can't access certain things, we might be getting our messages on the cell phone through the emergency broadcast system. So I do believe he might be letting us know that is what is coming. But I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they're in total control. Trump is letting everyone know this is the way we have to fight. This is how we fight for the freedom. This is how we take back the country. And I do believe the plan is absolutely working. And I do believe as we get closer and closer to the presidential election, yes, it's going to get scary. Yes, it's going to get dark. Yes, it's going to feel like the world is falling apart. But when you feel discomfort, when you feel things like this, people wake up. People then start to think. People start to say, why is this happening? And that's the most important part, because this wakes the people up. And when the people are awake, they see it all. It's almost like Neo, when he was taken out of the Matrix, he was able to see everything very, very clearly, because you're seeing it from the outside. You're no longer within the system. You're outside of the system, and you can see the system very, very clearly. And I think soon people are going to be able to see the system very, very clearly. And this is going to be a disaster for the deep state players, because remember, when the people are awake, they lose control. And who gains control? The Patriots. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.
All right, that was the X22 from yesterday. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off, and let's get back into our feed. She had 3 in about 7.5 minutes. So she's up to 7 now. Yeah. So, yeah, fast. All right. Carly Boone posted this up. Yep. The absolute truth with Emerald. Breaking Peter Bernegger says tells Emerald Robinson exclusively that his team has traced the shipping of Chinese manufactured motherboard chips for electronic voting machines to Taiwan, where they're being repackaged and shipped to the U.S. Really now?
Breaking. I want to break the news right here. We have traced the Chinese motherboards are being manufactured in China and tested in China, as disclosed in Dominion's own emails. But here's the rest of the story. We have the shipping documents showing where the Chinese communication companies are shipping those chips, motherboard chips, to Taiwan. They repackage them, relabel them. We have the evidence on this, so we're going to disclose it. And then they ship it over to the United States, and it gets installed into Dominion machines. And I'll tell you who's playing a big role in this. Dell Computers. Dell Computers is violating federal import laws. This is extremely serious, and we're going to expose them on this.
And I assume this is being done to try to throw off the trail that they're coming directly from China, correct?
Exactly.
Wow. Peter Bernegger, that's huge news, huge breaking news right here on the show. I want to have you back on next week to go more in depth about this. In the meantime, go follow him on X, follow him at electionwatch.info. Thank you, Peter. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you.
And the work you do.
All right. So we know that they're working on the next election interference. Can anyone answer this? Here we go.
Why do Democrats want to hold gun manufacturers liable, but not vaccine manufacturers?
Good question, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Such a powerful message. I have chills.
I mean, get married when you're too young, have more kids than you can afford, take a job you're not qualified for, live boldly, stop getting high, stop doing anything that blurs your vision or makes time go faster. You're going to die before you know it. Don't waste a second. That's the sin, is living thoughtlessly and wasting time. It's the one thing you can't get back. I've wasted a lot of money in my life. Oh my gosh. I don't care. I don't regret any of it. Every room service meal was worth it. It was fine. But any time that I wasted is really bitter for me because it's finite. And so live as fully as you can. And you can't control all this stuff that's going on. You can't control what Google does. And honestly, they're going to win. Like the powers that be will win, at least in the short term. Ultimately, they'll all blow up. But like, we're powerless and hated. I think this myself all the time. Are they going to crush me? Oh, yeah. Okay. But in the meantime, you know, I want to experience my life as fully as I possibly can.
I think that's the way that we all should be looking at that, right? You know, so yeah, Mama's fine. He just had 3 of them all trying to come out at the same time. So I'll keep up with it. So unbelievable. 40,000 people expected to attend the MAGA takeover of Wildwood, New Jersey today, but the liberal media refuses to show this. So you folks know exactly what to do. Yeah, we're showing it. We're showing it. We're showing it. All right. But will they ever be held accountable? That's a damn good question. We're all asking that.
I have some breaking news coming out of New York, out of Georgia, out of the state of Missouri. I've been telling you guys how the energy is shifting. Finally, people are starting to stand up for Donald Trump and these fake scam lawsuits brought against him to keep him off of the campaign trail. Breaking this morning, Attorney General of Missouri, Andrew Bailey, has filed a lawsuit against the federal government. He wants to have subpoenaed all of the communications between the DOJ, the White House, and Alvin Braggs of New York City. Also, the White House, the DOJ, and Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, as well as District Attorney Fani Willis, all of her communications. They believe that there has been coordinated efforts to go after the former president. They believe that they have been colluding, possibly doing RICO, which is one of the things that Trump is being charged for. So he's going to be looking into that. Now, this is a big deal because it was the state of Missouri as well as Louisiana that sued the federal government and found out that Joe Biden and his White House were illegally breaking our First Amendment rights by telling people on social media, shut this person's account down, block this person, throttle their account so that they can't get very big reach. So all of that is coming out right now. This is really good news for conservatives and for President Donald Trump. The truth is going to come out. And then I believe they are going to go after Jack Smith and Merrick Garland and others. But this is the big breaking news today.
And I do think that something's going to come of this. It's just, you know, it's just a really, really hard walking and wading through this process, yeah. Oh, believe me, Elaine, I'm sitting here right now. My eyes are so heavy. I could literally fall asleep in this chair right now. It's, I don't know how much longer I'm going to go. I'm hoping that she's getting close to done so I can get some sleep. It's because when, the first 48 hours, generally the puppies aren't that loud. You can hear them in the background, but they're not that loud. The other pups have been going now that they've discovered the outside. It's a lot quieter during the daytime here, so I might be able to get a nap in. I don't know. We'll see. I could use a nice 4 or 5 hour nap. Absolutely. I mean, therefore I am puts out DEI hire reads names of graduates. Here we go. This is hold on to your pants.
Maybe Lee Zubeth Bratowski.
Sair Uvun Jinju Brinan. Marcelin Brabazan Carr. Victoria Lee Zubithros.
What the heck? Victoria Elizabeth. Gross. Not what she said.
Marlena.
Oh, Melanie.
Zobeth.
Molly.
Khan.
Molly.
Carolina Urina. Tamugme Thomas. Michilu Iagri. Jessica Lynn Bower. Efuni Batista Santos. Alisuna Cole Bishop.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a DEI hire. Absolutely. Hey, all right. So periodically I will, I'll spend some time watching these Oxford Union debates. There's a couple other colleges that have them as well. I thought that this one was kind of interesting. I thought you guys might dig this a little bit. It's about 15 minutes or 14 minutes long, somewhere around there. So take a listen.
I now look to Mr. Winston Marshall to close the case for the opposition.
Ladies and gentlemen, words have a tendency to change meaning. When I was a boy, woman meant someone who didn't have a cock. Populism has become a word used synonymously with racist. We've heard ethno-nationalist, with bigot, with hillbilly, redneck, with deplorables. Elites use it to show their contempt for ordinary people. This is a recent change. Not long ago, Barack Obama, while still president at the North America's Leaders Summit in June 2016, he took umbrage with the notion that Trump be called a populist. How could Trump be called a populist? He doesn't care about working people. If anything, Obama argued, he was the populist. If anything, Obama argued, Bernie was the populist. It was Bernie who'd spent 5 decades fighting for working people. But Trump. Something curious happens. If you watch Obama's speeches after that point, more and more recently, he uses the word populist interchangeably with strongman, with authoritarian. The word changes meaning. It becomes a negative, a pejorative, a slur. To me, populism is not a dirty word. Since the 2008 crash, and specifically the $1 trillion Wall Street bailout, we are in the populist age. And for good reason. The elites have failed. Let me address some common fallacies, some of which have been made tonight. If the motion was that demagoguery was a threat to democracy, I would be on that side of the House. If the motion was that political violence was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the House. January 6th has been mentioned. A dark day for America indeed. And I'm sure Congresswoman Pelosi will agree that the entire month of June 2020, when the federal courthouse in Portland, Oregon was under siege and under insurrection by radical progressives, those too were dark days for America. Yes.
There is no equivalence there. So that, yes.
So you don't agree? But it's fine. You don't agree. That's fine.
But it is not like what happened on January 6th, which was an insurrection incited by the President of the United States.
So you don't agree? But you'll condemn those days. My point, though, is that all political movements are susceptible to violence and indeed insurrection. And if we were arguing that fascism was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the house. Indeed, the current populist age is a movement against fascism. I've got quite a lot to get through. Populism, as you know, is the politics of the ordinary people against an elite. Populism is not a threat to democracy. Populism is democracy. And why else have universal suffrage if not to keep elites in check? Ladies and gentlemen, given the success of Trump, and more recently Javier Milei taking a chainsaw to the state behemoth of Argentina's bureaucratic monster, you'd be mistaken for thinking this was a right-wing populist age. But that would be ignoring Occupy Wall Street. That would be ignoring Jeremy Corbyn's For the Many, Not the Few. That would be ignoring Bernie against the billionaires, RFK Jr. against Big Pharma, and more recently, George Galloway against his better judgment. Now, all of them, including Galloway, recognize genuine concerns of ordinary people being otherwise ignored by the establishment. I'm actually rather surprised that our esteemed opposition, Congressman Pelosi, is on that side of the motion. I thought the left was supposed to be anti-elite. I thought the left was supposed to be anti-establishment. Today, particularly in America, the globalist left have become the establishment. I suppose for Ms. Pelosi to have taken this side of the motion, she'd be arguing herself out of a job. But it's here in Britain where right and left populists united for the supreme act of democracy, Brexit. Polls have showed the number one reason people voted for Brexit was sovereignty, for more democracy. Thank you. What was the response of the Brussels elite? They did everything in their power to undermine the democratic will of the British people, and the Westminster elite were just as disgraceful. As we've heard, David Cameron called the voters fruitcakes, loonies, and closet racists. The Liberal Democrats did everything they could to overturn a democratic vote. Keir Starmer campaigned for a second referendum. Elites would have had us voting and voting and voting until we voted their way. Indeed, that's what happened in Ireland and in Denmark. Let's look at some of the other populist movements. The Hong Konger populist revolt is literally called the pro-democracy movement. The farmer revolts from Netherlands to Germany, France, Greece to Sri Lanka. Farmers are taking their tractors to the road to protest ESG policy that's floated down to us from those all-knowing, infallible elites of Davos. The trucker movement in Canada became anti-elitist when petty tyrant Prime Minister Justin Trudeau froze their bank accounts, not the behavior of a democratic head of state. The Gilets jaunes in France, ULEZ in London, working people protesting policy that hurt them. And how are they treated? They're called conspiracy theorists. They're called far right by the mayor as well. Ladies and gentlemen, populism is the voice of the voiceless. The real threat to democracy is from the elites. Now, don't get me wrong. We need elites. If President Biden has shown us anything, we need someone to run the countries. When the president has severe dementia, it's not just America that crumbles, the whole world burns. But let's examine the elites. European corporations spend over 1 billion euros a year lobbying Brussels. US corporations spend over $2 billion a year lobbying in DC. 2/3 of Congress receive funding from pharmaceutical companies. Pfizer alone spent $11 million in 2021. They made over $10 billion in profit. No wonder then that 66% of Americans think the economy is rigged against them for the rich and the powerful. And by the way, we used to have a word for when big business and big government were in cahoots. And I think any students here of early 20th century Italian history know what I'm talking about. What about big tech? Throughout the pandemic, Biden's team, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security colluded with big tech in censoring dissenting voices, not kooky conspiracy theorists. People like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, the Stanford epidemiologist. People like Harvard scientist Martin Kulldorff. People spreading true information, not misinformation, true information at odds with the government narrative. Need I remind you, democracy without free speech is not democracy. This was a direct breach, by the way, of the First Amendment. Before COVID, intelligence services colluded with big tech to have Trump suspended off Twitter. Yes, the same platform which hosted the Taliban and Ayatollah deaf to Israel Khomeini, they thought the president crossed the line when he tweeted on Jan 6th, quote, "Remain peaceful, no violence, respect the law and our great men and women in blue." That's a quote. You may be thinking now that Trump is a populist. You are right. He didn't accept the 2020 elections, and he should have. So should Hillary in 2016, so should Brussels, and so should Westminster in 2016, and so too should Congresswoman Pelosi, instead of saying the 2016 election was, quote, hijacked. Quote, hijacked. Thank you.
Means that we don't accept the results of it.
What about the mainstream media? Let me read you some mainstream media headlines. The New Yorker, the day before the 2016 election, the case against democracy. The Washington Post, the day after the election, the problem with our government is democracy. The LA Times, June 2017, the British election is a reminder of the perils of too much democracy. Vox, June 2017, the two eminent political scientists say the problem with democracy is voters. New York Times, June 2017, the problem with participatory democracy is the participants. Mainstream media elites are part of a class who don't just disdain populism, they disdain the people. If the Democrats had put half their energy into delivering for the people, Trump wouldn't even have a chance in 2024. He shouldn't have a chance. You've had power for 4 years. From the fabricated Steele dossier to trying to take him off the ballot in both Maine and Colorado, the Democrats are the anti-Democrat party. All we need now is the Republicans to come out as the pro-monarchist party. Ladies and gentlemen, populism is not a threat to democracy, but I'll tell you what is. It's elites ordering social media to censor political opponents. It's police shutting down dissenters, be it anti-monarchists in this country or gender-critical voices here, or last week in Brussels, the National Conservative movement. I'll tell you what is a threat to democracy. It's Brussels, DC, Westminster, the mainstream media, big tech, big pharma, corporate collusion, and the Davos cronies. The threat to democracy comes from those who write off ordinary people as deplorable. The threat to democracy comes from those who smear working people as racists. The threat to democracy comes from those who write off working people as populists. And I'll say one last thing. This populist age can be brought to an end at the snap of a finger. All that needs to be done is for elites to start listening to, respecting, and, God forbid, working for ordinary people. Thank you.
Okay, and that's at Oxford, okay, in the UK. If they're seeing that, then I'm telling you, the rest of America should be seeing it, you know. Let's see.
I had a hearing this week in Homeland Security, and this hasn't even become very mainstream yet, but it was about different foreign adversaries using direct energy weapons against U.S. citizens that completely incapacitate citizens of the United States. You guys might have heard of it, called Havana Syndrome. And then we went down to the SCIF, and we got a classified briefing from some of the people on the panel, and it was one of the most. I'm a former Navy SEAL, so I've traveled around the world and hunted bad guys for a long time. But I can tell you this: when I went down to that SCIF, it was one of the most terrifying briefs that I've ever been a part of. Okay, this is how brazen our enemies are becoming because of how foolish, corrupt, incompetent, and I would actually say wicked we have become. And our leadership has failed us at every turn. So this next election is going to be important. Thank you guys for coming. Mr. Chairman, thank you for allowing me to speak.
So when you think about places like Lahaina, what are the American people going to do when they learn that that in fact our own government did that to them? Are people going to stand up to it? I mean, those of us that are awake know it, but everybody else, I don't know. You know, Hillary Clinton, 675,000 atrocities. Let's take a listen. Dang it. Try it again.
Is there such a thing in the law as res ipso facto? And the reason I mentioned that, when Hillary took her server to her private residence, that's res ipso facto, if I remember the old expression. Is there such a thing anymore?
Yes, it's actually res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself. What happened was the double standard is what happened. I wrote an article for the New York Observer ages ago called The Countless Crimes of Hillary Clinton that went viral. I think Rush might have even read it online, on air. There are probably things she could still be indicted for, and frankly, I think should, because the Espionage Act.
Is there such a thing in the law as
Very clear violations of the Espionage Act, and really no issue about intent, despite President Obama proclaiming otherwise. And of course, you realize the reason that Hillary had to be protected was because he was writing her on that secret server using an alias, which shows that he damn well knew and had approved in advance her use of the secret unsecured server. On top of that, there's the Anthony Weiner laptop, which I don't know if you heard this. I wrote an article about that too. 675,000 Clinton emails when they got Anthony Weiner's laptop in a search warrant because of all his sex perversion issues. It was all the Clinton emails, the Clinton Foundation, her Secretary of State emails, Huma Abedin's emails. Lots of people emailed Huma as a proxy for Hillary, and it included what Comey called the sorry, I must wave my hands more than most people. The golden emails, because they were the BlackBerry backup emails that they were supposedly just looking for everywhere very diligently. Well, guess what they did when they found them on the Wiener laptop? They got a search warrant for things that didn't include the BlackBerry backup emails. So when they told us, when he stood there and said that day, oh, you know, we've reviewed all the emails now, there's nothing there, that was a bald-faced lie. They specifically did not look at the BlackBerry backups, and they didn't look at a fraction of the emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop. So one of the things, if I were the president, I'd do is demand the Anthony Weiner laptop and get it to the most trusted person in the military to take apart everything on it and then start using it. There's a lot that can be prosecuted. I have no doubt on that laptop. In fact, I heard that the New York police officers who saw some of it, even though they're hardened investigators, literally had to go throw up. It's bad.
Yep. And that's the talk of frazzle drip. Yep. All right. Turning Point UK. Patriotic student at University of Liverpool wakes up and confronts pro-Hamas campers at 3 a.m.
Nice. It's currently 3 a.m. This is Al-Arir Square. It's actually Abercrombie Square, but for some reason that's part of Palestine now. And we're going to give them a nice little wake-up call to start their day of liberation by camping and eating whatever gluten-free shit they can find.
Rule Britannia, Britannia rules the way. Britain never, never, never will be saved. Rule Britannia, Britannia rules the way. Britain never, ever, ever shall be saved. Morning! Wakey, 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 wakey. Rise and shine, baby. Rise and shine. Some very expensive tents in here, 300-400 quid. Come on, sing along. Oh, Britannia, Britannia rules the way. Britain never, never, never will be saved. Oh, Britannia, Britannia rules the way. Britain never, never, never will be saved. Sing along, bro. Give it a little sing with us. Sing with us. Sing with me. Sing with me. Sing with me. Why are you in my university? You're trespassing. Why are you in my university? So you're not only trespassing, but you're intimidating people. I am. Look, how's the gluten-free food? I need you to stay here for. Is ready to listen to you right now? Britain never, never, never will be saved. Come on! Rule Britannia, Britannia rules the way. Britain never, never, never will be. Why do you want to sing it with me? Don't with me. You won't, because you don't like it. You don't like us. That doesn't matter. You don't like us. You don't like this.
I love early morning wake-up calls, you know. It can just be so special. All right, shipwreck.
Propaganda is not education. Propaganda, on whether it's TikTok or in the classroom, is actually the opposite of education. anybody who is teaching in a university or anyone who is putting content on social media should be held responsible for what they include and what they exclude. And so much of what we're seeing, particularly on TikTok, about what's going on in the Middle East is woefully false, but it's also incredibly slanted, pro-Hamas, anti-Israel. And it is, not any place where anyone should go to get information about complex matters.
So where should they go? CNN? MSNBC? Hillary Clinton's emails? Hold on, I got another one.
In terms of public perception, an offer is on the table to have a ceasefire, and yet the world is screaming about Israel. It's like, why aren't they screaming about Hamas? Accept the ceasefire, bring home the hostages. It said it's all the other way around. Typically the Israelis are good at PR. What's happened here?
Why would you need good PR if everything that you were talking about was true? Why would there need to be a narrative if you were the good guy in the situation?
Such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok.
This is why I will never block politicians. This is why I will never stop watching what politicians are saying or what they're doing or what shows they're going on is that these warmongers are trying to push for war in the Middle East, and they want us on the side of Israel, and they want us fighting against the Palestinians. It's early because at TikTok, it allowed people to connect with people on both sides of the argument and gain perspective as to what's really happening. Because they don't have the support from the poors, they can't really push their war narrative. It's not working. People are pushing back. That's why they want to ban this app. They can't control the narrative over here. It's why they want control. They're not going to ban it. They just want it sold to an American-owned company so that they can control it. And if you block all the celebrities, you take away yet another weapon that they have is their influence over you. You have to do all day is to sit around and watch what they have to say and what they're actually doing. They can't have that. They're telling you right to your face. They're saying it out loud. Doesn't matter what side you decided to be on when it came to the Israel-Palestine conflict. I stand with the American poors. I think we need to fix us before we keep trying to fix anybody else because we're broken. So it is Israel behind the push to ban TikTok. Block the celebrities, but don't block your politician.
Yeah. Good point. Speaking of celebrities and speaking of blocking them, Nature Girl says, gosh, Kim seems a little upset.
You know what? All of you trolls on the internet, that I will find each and every one of you and not threaten you on TV, but it's wrong. Like, it's so wrong when the whole world is looking at you, laughing at you, calling you every name in the book. Do you know how hard that is? You know what?
Okay. Yeah. I blocked her yesterday. Yeah. All right. Ian Miles Strong says Lauren Southern was canceled for questioning Trudeau's narrative about the mass graves up in Canada. She was right all along. Here we go.
Mass unmarked graves in Canada. 2-3 years ago now, I published my first set of videos on this topic saying, guys, I think this might be a little ridiculous. I don't think these graves exist. We don't have any evidence. And I really beat this dead horse. 6 months ago, I did like my last video on the topic on Tenet Media here, and I promised myself I would never talk about it again. Come on, Lauren, like you've done so much showing the truth. But here we are again with more information to vindicate me, and quite frankly, just shocking details of how much money our government spent to find nothing. This is from the Western Standard, just published yesterday. The Department of Crown Indigenous Relations has confirmed significant spending to try and uncover the heartbreaking truth of potential unmarked graves at the Indian Residential School in Kamloops, BC. So this is just one school. However, despite the allocation of $7.9 million for this purpose, no remains have been uncovered. None. And there has been no public disclosure of how the funds were utilized, says Blacklock's reporter. Of course not. So we spent millions of dollars trying to figure this out, trying to figure out what went on here. Don't know. Was there mass graves, genocide? And all we have been left with are a bunch of empty holes in the ground. That's it. for all the money spent on this, for all the trauma, for all of the media discourse, whipping everyone up into a frenzy, hundreds of churches burnt to the ground and destroyed. Let's talk about disturbing the public peace, something I've been banned from multiple countries for doing. Our government and media do every day here. A bunch of empty holes in the ground. You know when construction workers in your town are just sitting around with shovels and they don't seem to be doing anything, and you're like, is this just what they do all day? Imagine that on a mass scale across your country, but with a bajillion-dollar budget from our government to just do nothing. Do nothing. Of course, there's no public disclosure of how the funds were utilized because there was nothing to use them on finding. There was nothing to find. This is what happens when supply does not meet demand in the Oppression Olympics. Simple as that. You have millions of dollars spent by the federal government trying to find oppressions that didn't even exist in the first place. And at a time where Canadians literally cannot afford food or find housing. In fact, I spent the last few weeks here, standing outside Walmarts, standing outside, IGAs, asking people whether they could afford their groceries. Are they going without? I'm working on a film about it currently. And every single person looked at me with near tears in their eyes saying, I am barely making it by. Barely. I'm having to let go of buying, in some cases, butter, like serious basic items because of the inflation in our food, thanks to Trudeau, Castro. And you know why? You know why you guys can't afford anything right now, my fellow Canadians? It's because we are too busy digging damn holes all over the country to find nothing. That's what we're doing. That's what the government's doing with your tax dollars that they need to take from all those grocery bills. In one case of this digging about that went on the last few years, they literally just found rocks. Rocks, because it's more than just this school in Kamloops that they've been doing the digging at. Like I said, I guarantee we're going to get more information about this in the future, and it's going to be much more than $8 million spent. But they found rocks and nothing and more nothing and more nothing. And to reiterate, if you watch any of my videos on my channel or here on Tenet about this whole mass grave stuff, I have plenty of information that shows this was obvious from the start. Anyone, especially governments with bajillions of dollars to spend on it, could have figured out easily that this was a false story. The information to disprove it, readily available. Even, the initial ground scans, the people who did those said it could be rocks, it could be nothing. We shouldn't get too uppity and excited because we don't know. But did the New York Times verify? Did any of the mainstream media that whipped our country into a frenzy verify? Did the federal government verify before spending all of our money? No. A girl with a computer in her bedroom and $0 allocated to her was able to figure this out 2 years before thousands of government employees given millions of dollars. I'm sick of it. This is not a serious country. And you know what? Just in general, in this whole political realm, I seem to have this superpower where I am consistently correct about things 5 years before it is acceptable to say them. And it's getting insanity driving. I'm losing my mind because of it. And you would think, oh, well, that's a great thing, Nostradamus, right? You can figure things out before they happen. No, it's not a good thing because last time I did this with the mass grave stuff, I get slandered by CTV in front of my whole community as some sort of white nationalist genocide denier. I have people in my DMs that live in the town I live in telling me, you deserve to get scalped for this, Lauren. So no, it's usually better to be wrong too late than right too early. But every time I do this, I just wake up 2 years later to being vindicated. Every country I go to, vindicated. Europe, mass migration stuff, vindicated. I go to South Africa, the crazy policies they're putting in, Black economic empowerment policy, destroying the economy, causing race wars, vindicated. I talk about issues with religious freedom, getting a little crazy over there in the UK, banned, and then vindicated. I go to sleep, I'm vindicated. I eat lunch, I'm vindicated. And you know what? I'm pretty sure I'm being canceled right now for criticizing a bunch of trad LARPers. And I'll tell you right now, give it 5 years, and all the people who are criticizing me, writing little poison on twitter.com about me, who I know for a fact, some of you are faking being married right now. Some of you have called me up on cocaine benders at 2 a.m. Now, whining about me not being trad enough, calling me a degenerate, give it 5 years. Give it 5 years. All right? You'll see big old vindicated again. I'm sick of it. I am sick of being right too early. I'll see you all 5 years.
Yeah, I'll see y'all in 5 minutes. Yeah. All right. Here's a special one for you. Hang on. Sometimes the internet is awesome. I agree, Tim. He's better than I am. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. All right. This is actually kind of a funny because, oh, Lord.
This is fantastic. On MSNBC this morning, Hillary Clinton perfectly laid out.
Mr. Sisson, I mean, I swore I wouldn't. Okay. Hold on. You just give me. That was former Secretary. Do you? Where? Arkansas. Rose Law. Bosnia. Helicopter. Dark Alliance, Scary Web. We railroad tracks. We Vince Foster. Because then brought in the hospital in Sudan. Are you aware? Okay. You do know who that is. Okay. See, generations. So we were there. Okay. Furniture from the White House. When NAFTA, wait, okay, we say, okay. Gorbachev, we have a, and then Bob Dole. Because see, when Bush, I think he broke me. I think he finally did. You're a wild asshole. I don't know how else. I can't even begin. That's what I got. Okay. Have a great day, Mr. Sisson.
He broke me. After listening to this, if you still want to believe NASA's lies regarding a globe Earth, moon landings in outer space, I can't help you.
You guys need to listen to the people that actually operate this equipment, that are on ships, that understand trajectory and ballistics and bullet drop. Also a correction, the tungsten projectile that is fired from a railgun weighs 3/4 of a pound. 3/4 of a pound, and travels 17,000 feet per second. It is mounted on a destroyer, typically 80 feet above the ocean's surface, right? The top of the ocean. And it only requires a 1.69 degree barrel elevation to hit a target 100 miles away. If you read the description in the original video, all of the calculations are provided. It was done by AI, and AI could not calculate 8 inches per mile squared and relate that to bullet drop. When the tungsten projectile reaches the target 100 miles away, the projectile is actually 34 feet higher from where it was fired. And if you look at a curvature calculator at 100 miles at 8 inches per mile squared using spherical trigonometry, if we live on a magical spinning water ball, then at 8 inches per mile squared at 100 miles, you're looking at 6,600 feet of drop. Are you guys telling me that this projectile fired at 100 miles is going to arc and drop 6,600 feet from the ship from which it was fired? I can't help you. We try, but I just feel like this is our club and you ain't in it.
Go flat earthers. Yep, that's right. All right. Here we go.
By now, we've all heard about the bill that passed the House, heading to the Senate, that makes it possible for them to ban the Bible, especially the New Testament. And well, I mean, it can come down to even arresting you for, preaching that. Well, I hate to tell them. They might as well just come arrest me because, well, I ain't going to stop preaching it. I'm going to preach Jesus from the rooftops. And you know what I'm going to do when they arrest me? I'm going to preach it in the jail cell. They ain't going to stop me from sharing Jesus. It don't matter if I'm behind bars, behind a pulpit, or up on a tree stump. It don't bother me, son. I'll preach Jesus. And if you feel the same, do at this. Let's let these idiots in Washington know we ain't going to tolerate it. Just because they say we can't don't mean we're going to stop. Anyhow, y'all, I'll holler at you later.
Yep. All right. Here we go. This is former UN employee Claire Edwards explains the next phase of the agenda.
The second wave will be the electromagnetic weapon, and that is what we are facing now. And that's why this document is so important, because if we're going to survive this, we need to take measures to protect our health, to avoid being targets, and especially to build up our own immune system and our own bodily strength. And they offer information on how you can do that. And I'd like to end by saying that I am extremely worried about the children. And that's why today I wanted to do a live stream, because during the lockdown, as we've seen again from this document, it was actually this is a global agenda. And because I'm international, I see how this agenda is playing out across the world, because I see the repetition. I see the identical repetition in each country. And so I see that measures have been put in place for children to be removed from their homes. And we know that the lockdown measures included the speeded up installation of 5G. And we know, and you can see here in Vienna, I've been shocked to see how many enormous antennas have been installed immediately outside schools, nurseries, kindergartens. It's horrifying. And I'm also told that WiGig has been widely installed in British schools. So I have to warn parents, do not send your children to school, because the second wave is going to be the electromagnetic radiation. And the intention is to declare that the children have been affected by the alleged COVID and they're quarantining the school, and parents may never see their children again. And that is real. And you know, we're all in a state of cognitive dissonance. Yeah, I wake up every morning. You know, for a long time, I've been doing this for 26 months. And for a long time in those early months, I woke up in the morning and I pinched myself and I said, this cannot be true. It cannot be true. Yeah. And you know, the normal human mind, the non-psychopathic human mind, just goes into cognitive dissonance. You know, I can understand that people can't deal with this. You know, so even now, as I talk about this situation with the children, you know, I myself, I find it hard to accept this. Yeah. But I have looked at the legal arrangements that have been put in place, and I know the agenda, I've studied it, and I also have talked to a wonderful researcher called Lena Poo, and I hope that she will forgive me for saying this, but she does know that an electromagnetic weapon was used in an American school. And I think I have to say that now, with so many children at stake. Yeah, it has already been done. So I really want to bring this document to the world and offer it as, or offer my translation of this wonderful document. I thank the French Army Reserve officers so much for producing this document. So my contribution is to have translated it, and I really regard it as a gift to the world, because they clearly see the extreme danger that we are all in, and they're offering you something that will help you to survive and to protect your children. So I'd like to.
Yeah. Anything to protect the children. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Connect the dots. Test dummy. Here we go.
That house of cards sure is falling fast now. Thoughts lining up, the connections showing themselves, and double the amount of distractions to go along with it. And how almost everything that's going on right now is connected. It's going to be hard to keep up. I'll show you what I see. For entertainment value, of course, because I know absolutely nothing, and I'm just making this stuff up. All right, now this is the reason we're here. The Tom Brady roast from the other night. Now, there's so many things surrounding Brady's little slip-up that I can't believe I haven't seen a video about this yet. But in case you missed it, this is what happened.
Be a good sport for most of the jabs, but he's making headlines for the joke he didn't like. He made it known. Comedian Jeff Ross making light of Patriot owner Robert Kraft's past legal troubles.
That scrawny rookie famously walked into the owner Robert Kraft's office and said, "I'm the best decision your organization has ever made." Would you like a massage? I love Robert Kraft. Okay.
Now, what that comedian was referring to was the arrest of Robert Kraft back in 2019.
Embarrassing embarrassing moment for Robert Kraft, the 77-year-old billionaire owner of the New England Patriots. Again, just to recap here, Jupiter Police announced today that he was charged with 2 counts of soliciting and another to commit prostitution. This is stemming from an 8-month investigation, 8-month-long investigation.
Now, naturally, the charges were dropped from that case because the judge ruled that the surveillance tapes that came from the investigation were unusable. All right, let's dig a little deeper. Now, Robert Kraft was independent director for Apollo Global. The same Apollo Global that had some serious ties to Epstein. Now, not only did Robert resign from Apollo Global because of the Epstein things, but in an interview with Epstein, Robert is who he said he wanted to be like. And just to make the whole thing worse, Epstein's lawyer is who he used in the massage parlor case. And since we're talking about Epstein, let me make this extremely relevant to the present day. Robert here has a certain group of friends he likes to hang out with. In fact, Robert and Meek Mill are pretty good friends. Not only did Robert Kraft visit Meek Mill in jail, but Meek and Jay-Z chipped in to buy Robert a Bentley for his birthday.
These 3 guys have a really close friendship, and because Robert Kraft turned 80 years old, Meek Mill wanted to do something nice. And did he ever? Meek Mill gifted Robert Kraft a beautiful drop-top blue Bentley, and it was awesome.
And since we're talking about Robert's connection to the music industry, let me show you a little coincidence. What a lot of people don't know is
I want to know if anybody caught what I just saw. Did anybody catch that? The situation with Meek Mill. Anybody catch it? Let's back it up a second here. Let's back it up. Celebrating his birthday with Robert Kraft. What's he got here? What you got right there?
Meek Mill wanted to do something nice, and did he ever? Meek Mill gifted Robert Kraft a beautiful drop-top blue Bentley, and it was awesome.
And since we're talking about Robert's connection to the music industry, let me show you a little coincidence. What a lot of people don't know is the only reason that Robert even owns the Patriots is because of the failure of the Jackson's Victory Tour. Now, not only is it weird that Robert was in the perfect position to take advantage of the failure of the Victory Tour, but Robert has just so happened to be on Clive Davis pre-Grammy VIP party pretty much since all that stuff happened. Interesting how that works. So not only was this dude a big fan of Diddy's, but he was also a big fan of old Donald here. Well, until he took office, then they didn't see eye to eye anymore. Another person Robert didn't see eye to eye with was old Putin here.
President Vladimir Putin stole one of his Super Bowl rings. It happened during a visit to St. Petersburg in 2005. Kraft also says he was pressured into covering up the incident by the Bush White House. And the story is getting more attention just hours before Putin meets with President Obama.
Old Kraft got put in his place on that one, didn't he?
He said, why don't you show it to the president? And I showed it to him and he put it on and he sort of enjoyed it, so he kept it on.
All right, now I'm going to end this video here, just so it's not too long, because honestly, who knows if it's even going to stay up. But the part 2 to this will be the origins of Robert Kraft and his family bloodline, and his deep ties to places like Is Not Real, the Vatican, and even how his father-in-law was one of the reasons why Anne Frank was caught. If you're still here and interested in a part 2, let me know in the comments. But until then, stay safe.
And I will find part 2 eventually. Yeah. All right.
Think about what it's like to lose $100. You had 520s in your pocket. All of a sudden, you can't find them. You look around, can't find it. Stinks. Can't find it anywhere. Damn it. Now imagine losing $20 billion. When you lose a hundo, no one notices. When you lose 20 bill, they do. That's what's happening in California this week, where under Gavin Newsom's watch, the state spent $20 billion over the last 5 years to combat homelessness. And the number of homeless people increased. So when auditors asked to see where the money was spent, no one had any idea. It turns out the state's homeless council just threw money at homeless nonprofits, but didn't track how much or how the nonprofits spent it. So lawmakers demanded a hearing, and it was a hot mess. Watch.
What's the money been spent on?
LACH is working on finalizing its HAP annual report and hope to have that published in short order.
Why is it taking 3 years to get data? The system was implemented in 2021.
So HDIS began in 2021. It wasn't fully implemented until 2022. And so,
okay, that's still 2 years ago. So why is it taking so? I mean, you're the one that said you're urgent. I don't know. Maybe my sense of urgency is different from your sense of urgency. You can't tell us at all how many people we've helped.
No, they can't. It's like a car accident. You don't want to look, but you can't stop. But how did it come to this?
When you're talking about what happened in those 2 years, a lot of that is grantees using a data system they'd never used before, getting used to it, getting substantial technical assistance, us getting back bad data, needing to go have further conversations, and then needing to go work on cleaning up that data and getting into a place where it was more sensible.
So they lost $20 billion because of technical difficulties? All right, let's just put that aside for a second. When will they finally show us where the money went?
And we're going to get hopefully some user-friendly report with all the data of rounds 1 through 4.
Correct.
In when?
In a few short weeks.
In a few short weeks. So before we vote on the budget?
I can't say with a definite date. I apologize.
I mean, how can you expect us to vote on something if we don't have any data? And what you got to do is you should walk through the supermarket with one of us on a Sunday. Then you can really, right, Supervisor Horvath, like let's hit the farmers market together. You want to hear urgency? That's how you hear urgency.
California needs to get it together. Emily Wilson, host of Emily Saves America, joins me now. Emily, if you find any of that $20 billion, will you at least let me know, please?
Yes, the old technical difficulties when losing $20 billion. Democrats are very good at two things: gaslighting everyone around them and funneling money back into their own pockets. I've looked into many of these complexes they're building. By the way, must be nice to be homeless in California. You get top real estate all the way to Santa Monica. You know how much they're spending on these units? From $837,000 a unit to $1 million a unit to house one person.
Wait a second. $1 million to house one homeless guy? What does it have, like 5 bedrooms?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because these people won't even touch on the fact that, oh, what about crime? How about the 2 women in Venice Canals who had their heads bashed in, and one is on, I think, in critical condition still. They won't even touch it. They can never answer anything. That's the one thing. They can never answer a question. But I think it's time to audit, and I think it's time to, let's be like, okay, where is this money? Let's show us. $1 million a unit? This has to be a joke.
Just to put it into context for everybody, the Democrats shut down the government because they didn't want to give Trump $20 billion for the wall. Now, the $20 billion would have built the wall. We would have had no open border, case closed. How about another example? $20 billion is what we just gave Israel for weapons. Okay? $20 billion went to homeless, and there's twice as amount of homeless. Are they, what are they doing? Are they having the homeless have sex and have homeless babies?
You know what's even crazier? There was one woman who's believe she's like the head of the homeless department. I looked it up. You know how much her salary was?
What?
It was between $300,000 and $600,000. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
And for what? You're very bad at your job. It's never been worse. You know what $20 billion could do? It could build jails and mental hospitals, which is what we need in California.
All right, Emily, good luck out there. Man, if you find a
Amen.
$1 million empty housing unit near Santa Monica, maybe squat, because that could be a nice pad. Thank you.
Okay, on that note, who can tell me who was president when all of the state hospitals were all shut down? Does anybody remember? Anybody remember?
I was going to say I'll be the first squatter there. Thanks, Jesse.
Anybody remember who it was? Who was president when all of the state hospitals were shut down? I know who it is. I just want to see if any of you. There you go. Miss Mindersu, you got it right off the bat. Right off the bat. Yeah. Yeah. It was Reagan. Yeah. And it was because of the abuse in the hospitals that he shut them down. But when the people couldn't abuse people in the state hospitals anymore, where did they go next? Old folks' homes, retirement homes. That's where they went. When those people couldn't work in state hospitals anymore, that's what they did. They turned around and they went to work in the old folks' homes, abusing the elderly. No different than what they did in the state hospitals. Crazy, huh? Yeah. All right. Real Robert said, and here it is, the Dominion Rigging System CEO, John Paulus, the son of a bitch, has lied. Internal Dominion emails revealed.
What is surprising about this whole settlement is that there continues to be concern about fraud with Dominion voting machines. In fact, the US government issued a warning about Dominion voting machines in June 2022. CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, issued this press release saying that Dominion voting machines had security vulnerabilities that could be exploited. People are so outraged over this that the people in Georgia have been fighting in court to remove the use of Dominion voting machines from their elections on the basis that they're not secure. In January 2024, a computer scientist demonstrated in court how he could manipulate a Dominion voting machine using only a pen, a fake $10 voter card, or a $100 USB device. In a matter of seconds, he could rig the machine to print out as many ballots as he wanted. I'm going to explain how you fake a Dominion voting machine. This is all public information anyone can find on the internet. You take a pen and you insert it into the power button on the back of the machine, and you hold it down for 5 seconds. This reboots the machine in safe mode and gives you super user access. This gives you unlimited ability to manipulate data on the machine. Now, I don't know what you think, but to me, it sounds like these machines are not very secure. Now, you might argue that all these machines have audit logs. So if someone tried to manipulate the votes, wouldn't you just see it in the audit logs? However, if you are a super user, you can delete the audit logs. Also, you can program all of these steps into a technician card. You insert the card and it runs the program in seconds. Just so you understand this, any random person can walk in off the street and very easily and quickly change the vote count from any voting machine. Why are we using these in our elections? But hold on, it gets worse. That example would just be one voting machine in one location. There's also a vulnerability if these machines are connected to the internet. The machines run on a version of Microsoft Windows from 2015. There are some well-known malware hacks that can access the system through the internet. If the malware infected the right file, it could change the votes in every Dominion voting machine in the county. It could also delete itself once it was done. Even if the machines were not connected to the internet, someone could infect the system simply by inserting a USB device. Why are we using these machines in our elections? But hold on, it gets worse. Dominion is continuing to sue people who accuse them of cheating in the 2020 elections. But unlike Fox News, these other defendants are fighting back. Dominion is suing Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Patrick Byrne, the CEO of Overstock, and Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow. All of these cases have been filed in Democrat courts in Washington, D.C. But even with biased judges and juries, these cases are going to be incredibly difficult for Dominion to win. They have to prove that these people were all intentionally lying when they claimed the 2020 election was stolen. I don't think anyone seriously doubts that these people actually believe the 2020 election was stolen. The case against Patrick Byrne is currently in discovery. The discovery uncovered multiple emails internal to Dominion that raised significant questions about the company. Patrick's attorney is Stephanie Lambert. She turned the emails over to Sheriff Dar Leaf as evidence Dominion committed crimes during the 2020 election. Sheriff Dar Leaf sent this letter to Congress requesting an immediate investigation. He says the emails show that foreign nationals have accessed electronic voting machines in Michigan and other states. What he is referring to is this email. Dominion has offices in Serbia. This is an email chain of Dominion staff in Serbia talking about running a test on Colorado voting machines. They are going to connect to the machines and vote. I quote, "Let's try and run the whole test for the Colorado project and full-face ballot by voting. Why do Serbians have the ability to log into US voting machines and vote?" This is especially troubling because Dominion has always tried to combat accusations about their voting machine vulnerabilities by claiming that the machines are not connected to the internet. Well, if they're not connected, how are the Serbians logging in? In fact, here is the CEO of Dominion testifying under oath that there are no modems in Dominion machines that can connect them to the internet.
And so are those networked? Is the computer then networked directly to the tabulator on a local area network?
To be closed networked, which means they are connected to each other in a local area network, but they are not designed to be connected to the outside world through either an internet connection or any other external connectivity device.
Does Dominion have any way to remotely access any of the information on any of the equipment or have remote access within the machines themselves?
No.
So there is no modem at all in these machines?
The only modem is the one that I described that has a very, very particular function on the precinct. And we do not have access to it, and nor can we modem into that machine.
Does anybody have access to the best of your knowledge?
No.
The CEO is lying. We have the emails of Dominion employees, foreign nationals, who are talking about accessing the voting equipment. The CEO is committing perjury here, but it's even worse than that. Here's the certification from the EAC, the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. They are the organization that has certified Dominion voting machines for U.S. elections. In this document, the use of modems to connect to the internet is marked no. If this is not correct, and Dominion is using modems to connect the voting machines to the internet, that means they lied to the EAC. This is another email from Dominion employees talking about voting machines in Alaska. They say, The remaining 304 in Alaska were retrofitted with dial-up modems and received in all 5 regional offices. Why is Dominion putting modems in the Alaska voting machines? This not only means that the CEO lied under oath about the modems, it means that Dominion lied to the EAC. And it means that Dominion has lied under oath in every single lawsuit against Fox News, Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Patrick Byrne, and Mike Lindell. Not only that, consider all of the money Dominion has made off of taxpayer dollars. Dominion would have gone through a procurement process based on their EAC certification. That means they also lied about the modems to obtain enormous amounts of taxpayer dollars. That is evidence of fraud. So I will ask again, why are we using any of these machines in the upcoming election? Again, I'm not even addressing the issue of whether Dominion cheated in the 2020 election. I am saying that there is evidence that they are committing fraud right now. Just so you understand what this means, Fox News paid Dominion $787.5 million in their settlement. If Dominion lied to get that settlement, and if Fox News has lawyers that are any good, they can ask that the settlement be overturned because of fraud. And Fox News can ask for all their money back.
And here's the documents. I read this the other day. And then here is the end of it with the signature. Yeah. Sheriff Darleaf. Yep. All right. Block them all. This guy's got a good point as to why this should be done.
So there's a new trend on TikTok and everybody needs to know about it immediately, and I'm all for it. And this is exactly what we need to fucking happen on this app, so that people can show that we actually have the power. Now this trend involves blocking every single celebrity that you can find on this app or any other platform as well. That means Spotify, Instagram, etc. To block their revenue and the attention that they receive. The attention that they don't deserve, and they proved it with the Met Gala this year. As if people's eyes weren't already open in previous years of the Met Gala. But see, people remain silent because everybody wasn't talking about what was truly important. And that's the fact that these idols that we choose to worship every motherfucking year only make a mockery of the people, flaunting their excessive materialistic desires in our faces while they barely make ends meet. Has America not turned into a dystopian empire, people? And yes, this includes canceling out people like Zendaya as well. She's obviously part of it if that hasn't already been obvious, but we willingly give our money to the entertainment industry to provide this little sense of happiness for ourselves. That was never the purpose of humanity to begin with. And the more that we value these celebrities' lives more than our own, we lose focus of the fact that those individuals bleed the same exact way as we do. Anybody, and I mean anybody, is capable of accomplishing anything. You are capable of achieving any goal of which you desire. And the only reason that you've been convinced otherwise is because your supposed leaders that leave your veterans lying in ditches make it so difficult to achieve that level of success to begin with. And that's the exact reason why we the people need to realize that we outnumber them. And within our species finally being unified, right? We will finally be able to create a true kingdom of humanity. A kingdom that works in the people's favor to begin with. A kingdom of equality. A kingdom as to where we can all value each other as one. We are all collectively one, people, no matter how much you don't want to believe it. And these entities that are in control have convinced all of us that we're not. By forcing division and violence inside of all of our realities. What do you really think war is? As if that shouldn't be obvious already. We are pawns being moved in a chess game that should have been folded up centuries ago. And like I stated, we are all collective. And we have the power to make a change. That starts with dismantling the entire industry as a whole. And that starts with, like I stated, eliminating every single aspect of revenue that they receive. Because obviously, they don't deserve it.
Makes good points. Very good points. All right. They have to shut Rudy down because he keeps exposing the fact that there were never 81 million votes for Biden.
Questioning, et cetera, and that it was a conflict. And the guy wrote a letter threatening to sue John. John had a mental breakdown. And then I produced the articles supporting it, and the case went away. And the guy.
Oh, so what about the 2020 election? One time you were talking about a controversial topic. And
no, but I mean, if you say sue, he sort of, I don't know, it kind of falls apart. But this one, The second problem with this one is he's involved in some very kind of crazy situation with Newsmax, because another strange one is about 2 months ago.
You mean Newsmax, the
Newsmax,
the news network owned by Qatar? That Newsmax?
Owned by Qatar. All right, well, whatever. So Newsmax, I'm on Newsmax.
Oh, you're a host. Okay, fine. I take that back. Upon further review,
I'm
first
on
brother,
Newsmax.
you're the best.
I'm
Everybody
on
tells me
Newsmax.
that all the time. You're on Newsmax
But
now.
I'm Newsmax.
I'll wait to see the show tomorrow.
You will be edited.
You'll be edited. Be a test.
But in any event, Dr. Maria gets an email saying, if you ever mention Newsmax again, you'll be fired. So she calls Chad Lopez, who's the president of the station, and he says that at a certain dinner, he warned her that you couldn't talk about Newsmax. She pointed out to him that she wasn't at the dinner.
But I watch your show. The only time I've heard her mention Newsmax is she was talking about the John Wayne. They're doing specials over Newsmax. I think there was one on John Wayne.
Yeah.
Because she had told me, you got to watch this John Wayne special on Newsmax. It's
They
magnificent.
threatened to fire her.
And I think she made a pitch for people to go watch Newsmax because, right? It was these specials they're doing. I think it was on John Wayne.
And
that's what I think, because I remember after I heard it, I talked to her and she said it was fantastic.
And I occasionally mention Newsmax with reference to Greg Kelly.
Yes.
Because Greg Kelly is on right before me, and he's on Newsmax.
He's got a fantastic show.
And I tell him, I say Greg is fabulous. I mean, I know his dad.
I'm partial to Hammerhead mix, so I love this.
That's okay, but I mean,
I love Greg Kelly.
I love Greg Kelly too, and his dad was a year or two ahead of me at Manhattan College, and he was a great police commissioner.
Ray Kelly.
Yeah, Ray Kelly.
He was at Manhattan College.
Yeah, a year or two ahead of me, and Greg has had a remarkable career.
Yes.
And I'm on his show probably twice a week as a lead-in to my show, and then I would promote sometimes and say, "Oh, make sure you listen to his show on Newsmax." Nobody ever told me I couldn't say that. All of a sudden, they bring the hammer down.
Is there a feud between Newsmax and this is called pot stirring?
Gigantic.
Is there a feud between?
Apparently,
is there a feud?
Apparently gigantic, because now.
Hold it, there's a feud between Newsmax and WABC.
Well, I can't mention Newsmax on WABC, according to John. I mean, why? Why would you not mention it? Here's the problem: is they're both. One of them is being sued by Dominion, and the other is Newsmax is being sued by Dominion, and WABC isn't.
Are they being sued by Dominion for anything you did on Newsmax?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's because I'm not absolutely certain, but I don't think so, because my case is a separate case.
Okay.
I'm
not a machine guy either. They know that I'm not a machine guy. Even with Mike Lindell, and I understand now the technology is probably more sophisticated. I'm a mail-in ballot guy.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I think it was the mail-in ballots that fixed the election, not the machine.
Particularly like Pennsylvania. The last couple of days in Georgia have been extraordinary about the ballots that didn't get scanned. You've seen what's happening down there.
Georgia's all
it's been amazing.
But I mean, I've always contended, I know that Georgia is fixed because the governor won't let me look at the ballots.
Have you ever sat down with John Catsimatidis and walked him through how the 2020 election was stolen, so he knows the math? Like, you know it. I mean, he knows the math. He knows where it's from, what districts. You've never sat down with him.
Well, I've talked to him about it, but he doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to know, so that he.
I think the New York Times said these were fallacies. Fallacies? Are they fallacies?
They're absolutely truthful. Okay, they're completely truthful.
Interesting, huh? Yeah, silence from every direction. Yep. All right, if Biden shows up to debate, remember his playbook. Trump's a dictator. Economy's fine. Here we go.
Now we know why Biden only does interviews with weathermen like Al Roker. Last night he talked with CNN and it was a train wreck. He lied, insulted his voters, and scared away famous backers.
You're not sending weapons to Israel during a war while American hostages and hostages from 22 countries are still in that. You're not sending weapons now, you dumb. I never, ever, ever thought I would say this. Okay, but I could promise you this right now. Smoking Joe Biden, cadaver Joe Biden, me, Michael Rappaport, I'm not voting for you. You're not getting my vote. And plenty of us also ain't voting for you, you.
Biden's losing the Israel and Hamas vote. But the Mideast isn't the top issue for voters. It's the economy, stupid. Instead of empathizing with us, he tried lying his way out of it. But he didn't get away with it this time.
Biden falsely claimed that inflation was 9% when he took office.
It was 9% when I came to office. 9%.
Inflation was actually 1.4% when Biden was sworn in, peaking at 9.1% in June 2022.
What's one more lie for a black Puerto Rican truck driving Jewish professor whose uncle was eaten by cannibals? What is new is that the media called him a liar. Where Biden really shot himself in the foot, though, is when he told you to shut up and spend more of the money you don't have.
There's real pain. I mean, grocery prices are up 30%, more than 30% since the beginning of the pandemic. And people are spending more on food and groceries than they have at any time, really, in the past 30 years. I mean, that's a real day-to-day pain that people
No, it really is. And it's real. But the fact is that if you take a look at what the people have, they have the money to spend.
Who has money to spend besides Gold Bar Bob? Fannie Willis, who keeps cash in a safe because it's a black thing? People are hurting and life's expensive. Doesn't Joe read the polls?
The polling data has been wrong all along. You know, how many, you guys do a poll with CNN, how many folks you have to call to get one response?
Joe's fighting with CNN. This can't be good. Biden tells factory workers they're full of ish, calls a reporter a stupid son of a bitch, and calls you crazy if you say groceries are pricey. Joe was supposed to be the genteel granddad who wisely guided us back home. Now he snaps when you point out that he missed the exit. It's always someone else's fault. Even CNN sees it.
That sounds like somebody in Washington telling people you're wrong. And whatever your party is, voters don't process it that way. They don't like that.
Definitely don't like being told they're wrong because it's how they're actually experiencing the economy personally.
They don't like people in Washington telling them they're wrong.
And I think he's making a terrible mistake. You know, it may not be, if he doesn't win this race, it may not be Donald Trump that beats him. It may be his own pride.
Biden's an angry recluse, obsessed with his legacy. He wants to be remembered like JFK, but he's going down as a mean liar who opened the border, botched the Afghan withdrawal, and destroyed the dollar. The media is confused because Trump's up in the polls, and the Biden trials are backfiring.
How hard is it for President Biden to get any attention, even though he's the only one who's campaigning right now, because all the oxygen's being sucked up down in that courtroom?
So hard.
Because he did something today, right? Biden was
In
someplace
Wisconsin.
and he talked about something, right?
Yes, infrastructure.
I heard that happened.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you where or couldn't tell you what it is.
You're like, he was out there somewhere.
And I give a damn.
Yes.
And not everybody does. So how can he get the attention?
We all struggle with this and how much you should cover these trials, how much we should talk about these trials. There's a lot of things happening in the world.
Oh, they wanted to arrest this guy for a decade, and now that he's in court, they're complaining? Like a dog chasing a car. As soon as they catch it, they don't know what to do. Democrats aren't happy no matter what happens.
Has anyone ever noticed that there's just no happiness on the left? They're not happy. They're not happy people.
There's a lot of anger, confusion, and sadness in the Democrat Party. If anyone's read Get It Together, you know they could use a therapist.
I'd like to call the part of this segment Therapy with Hillary, if I may, because she's now going to become, she needs another role, therapist.
Well, Mika, I'm happy to go to therapy with you anytime because
Let's do it.
clearly
Group therapy.
the pressure and the stress on our system, our country, our constitution, our future is so intense. For those of us who understand what's at stake.
If anybody needs therapy, it's Hillary. She never got over 2016, and she's married to Bill. Dr. Clinton prescribed the media with a plan to take down Trump. First, you're not calling him a dictator enough.
I don't think the press has done enough to basically say, okay, the circus is here. You can watch the circus, but let's tell you what that means. Let's talk to people who have a real understanding of how dictatorships evolve.
Dr. Hillary, not really known for her bedside manner, started insulting her patients. If you're a woman and vote for Trump, you're a tramp.
any woman who has any sense of self-respect, autonomy, agency, independence, and values freedom needs to understand there's only one choice in this election, and that's Joe Biden.
Only Hillary could figure out a new way to insult half the country. Remember, crooked isn't the feminist she pretends to be. She ran smear campaigns against every woman who had an affair with her husband. Even women her husband allegedly raped. They were called trailer trash. Trump invited them all to the second debate and lined them up at a table. And it was a long table. Hillary will never forgive him. Trump, not Bill. She's the one who has no self-respect. She's been publicly humiliated, bottled up the humiliation, and takes her rage out on Trump. In a way, Trump reminds Hillary of her husband. And deep down, she hates them both. What if Biden doesn't excite female voters and they want to stay home? Dr. Hillary says, shut up and take your medicine.
Every one of us has an obligation as a citizen to try to figure out, waking up the morning after the election, do I want to throw my vote away? Do I want to not vote and let somebody who doesn't agree with me or care about me essentially fill that vacuum that I left? Or do I want to feel like, okay, maybe I'm not ecstatic about the outcome, but I'm safe?
What's safe about an open border, two proxy wars, record inflation, crime, and throwing politicians in prison for winning? Joe's going to have to explain all of that at the debate.
Dear Joe, now that you've committed to debate on the ratings challenged Howard Stern show, let's set it up right now. I'm ready to go anywhere that you are. Anytime, anywhere, any place. Let's go, Joe. Let's debate.
Biden says he's game. Now, if Biden does show up at the debate, remember the playbook. Trump's a dictator. Economy's fine. You have money to spend. Migrant crime's a hoax. Republicans open the border. And if you vote for Trump,
Yep, if you vote for Trump, God only knows. All right. Whatever comes next, do not comply.
Whatever comes next, and you can count on it, something is coming, do not comply. Just like last time.
I gotta ask you to put a mask on if you want to shop in here.
And yet I shop.
Well, are you gonna put a mask on or no?
I told you before I'm not.
All right, well then I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
You can call the cops if you need me to go. I'm just shopping. Day before Easter, leave me alone, sir.
Sir?
Leave me alone, sir. Hi.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't check you out without a mask on.
Shop local, they say. It helps your community, they say. They won't let me check out across the street from where I live because I don't have a mask on. Thought the mandate was over. Am I wrong? Shame on you guys. Wherever you'd like me to go, sir. Right
You're
here?
fine
Okay.
with me, man. You're fine with me. So basically, I got a call saying that you're trespassing here because you're not wearing a mask, you're not following their rules, and that they want. And he also said you got belligerent with them.
I got it on video. No, I got it on video. I can show it to you.
That's fine. I
yeah.
wouldn't mind seeing it. Actually, he said that you were belligerent. And
I told him. I told you before. I live across the street.
Mm-hmm.
I shop local instead of going to Meyer and all that stuff. And this is the thanks I get. That's the kind of stuff. Dude, if he's got a mask on, what's it matter? Did you go in with a mask on?
Nope.
So there you go.
So
now
they
I
can
have
go
to
multiple
resist,
ways.
and if it means I get arrested, I have to do that. Man,
You're
listen
not
to
going
free-
to be arrested.
Oh, I
It
know.
doesn't need to end in that. It doesn't need
But
to
I'm
end in
going to keep coming back because I live here. I live right across the street.
I understand why you want to shop local. I understand that
Right.
you live nearby and this is a convenient place for you to go. If they have rules, they have rules. If you have some particular reason that you can't wear a mask,
Because I woke up a free man
well,
in a free
listen,
country.
hey,
That's why.
Hey, I completely get it, man.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I woke up a free man, he says. Yep. Yep. Here we go. Donald Trump reposted this morning on Truth.
To step aside. Are Democrats starting to turn on Biden?
Should Joe Biden run again?
No. Democrats say they want someone other than Biden.
Michigan has thousands of people voting uncommitted.
You're even seeing women and independent voters turning away from Joe Biden.
Raise your hand if you think Trump's policies on the economy would be better for your family.
That's a 9-point Trump advantage in voters. President Biden trailing in 6 out of the 7 swing states. Steve, how worried should President Biden be? And I don't see how it's even possible.
Do you think that President Biden is doing a good job with the economy? No, he's not doing nothing.
Trump made the economy better, and Biden is making it worse. Biden appears to be losing popularity.
President Biden losing support amongst black men.
I'm here to support President Trump. He's done so much for the black community.
And you ain't black.
Latino voters, he is still going to have to work very hard for their support. Crime, inflation, this is weighing on their opinion of President Biden.
Latinos prefer former President Donald Trump over President Joe Biden.
The bleeding of support among Latino voters.
We once had a president that secured our southern border. We had a president that created a record-breaking economy. We had a president that supported our law enforcement officers. We had a president that created world peace through the Abraham Accords. And most important of all, we had a president that was respected on the world stage. The only thing Joe Biden has that Trump doesn't have is a voter problem.
Damn. Yep. All right. American people know what they're doing to President Trump is ridiculous bullshit. Here we go.
Is an interesting conundrum, right? Because while all these images are going on campuses, we're watching the images from the courtroom in New York, and any other president or candidate at any other time, this would be the series of images that would tank that candidacy. And yet that's not what's happening here. The president seems to be, or the former president seems to be relatively untouched by this, largely because I think, and there's no surprises with the man. People are watching purely for entertainment value, and I don't think it's going to have lasting effect. The polls certainly don't seem to indicate that it's going to have significant effect over time.
Could a conviction change that, Doug?
It could, but as we sit here today, when you look at Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen, the nature of the process in New York, I believe that a conviction for the vast majority of Trump's voters today will be, well, former President Trump was right. This was basically a, gang up on him, a ridiculous trial involving events that largely occurred before he was elected in 2016. His argument is this was to protect his family, not about electoral outcomes. And I don't think ultimately, Neil, this will have the potential impact on the election, particularly if there are not other trials, which seems increasingly likely, that the potential of more violence on campus and more violence in the streets of Chicago and beyond that has for Joe Biden. So I think Justin's right. We haven't seen any impact, and I don't really think if there's a conviction, it's going to have that much impact on the polls.
Yeah. Well, we'll see, won't we? All right. Okay.
We're moving from dark to light. This is the Great Awakening. People of the world have woken up, and the light has shined on the darkness, and the darkness cannot hide from it. All the darkness can do is panic. All of the systems the darkness had in place to control us are going to crumble. The fear, the corruption, the greed, the wars and rumors of wars, the hate, the technology, media propaganda, the child trafficking, and the slave economy, all of these control systems will crumble down. The darkness will collapse in only a few countries at first, but other countries will soon follow. We will unite against the dark. How will it be walking into the light after thousands of years of darkness?
Just a little bit of it. And I'm going to end it with this message here. And I thought that this was really good because what one of the things that I remember back from one of my first streams was that the restoration of family. It's going to come a time when people are going to go home. People who were getting divorced and things like that, that were causing great pains to their family and stuff, were going to go home. The restoration of the family. And that was a pretty prolific dream for me back then in 2018, 2017, 2018. I think it was like January, either December of 2017 or January of 2018. But, you know, I like it when people open themselves up and tell you, you know, give you their testimony. And we're going to end it with this.
Let me tell you about my God for a minute. Got in the car, I'm crying, bawling my eyes out. I haven't been home in over 3 months. I haven't texted my wife in almost a month to even check on my own children. And for the first time in my life, I heard this audible voice. It had to be from the Lord, and all it said was, text her. So I did. And the only thing that I could manage to text was, can I come home? She could have said, no, you cannot come home. No, your life is over. No, I'm leaving you. No, you blippity blip blip blip, whatever. She could have done any of those things. She responded with one word, yes. So I did. And we talked for 6 hours. But from that moment, God became the forefront of my life again. Trust me when I tell you that you do not have to be who you are today. All you have to do is go back home.
Pretty simple. Pretty simple. Sometimes all you have to do is just go home. You know, and for some people that could be back into the arms of your Savior, back into the book, because it's a pretty good standard to live by, you know. All right, I need to get some sleep. You guys have a great day. Thanks for joining me. I hope everybody got a little something out of the stuff that I shared with you today. And we will see you guys maybe tomorrow. We'll see if I get some good sleep. All right. God loves you. Christ loves you. I love you. Peace.
you.